driven engine, soft ground, top it off, yeah! Rolling down the highway, spice in my veins, metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat, this ride's ignited with an army heat. Rolling down the highway, spice in my veins, metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat, this ride's ignited with an army heat. Lock it off. Rolling down the highway, spice in my veins, metal heart burning, unleashing the flames. Taste buds screaming, can't retreat, this ride's ignited with an RV heat. One drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. One drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Flavor so mean, it'll break the law. Top it off, hot sauce. Kick it in gears with a molten drum. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Roll drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce. Flavor so mean, it'll break the law. Top it off, hot sauce. Kicking in gears with a molten draw. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Roll drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Top up, two drop, can't be tamed. Rattle that bottle, pull down the raft. Heat trail scorching the demon's path. From the grill to the pit, it owns the flame. Top it off more than just a name. RV up, full throttle blast. Metal and peppers burning fast. Rattle that bottle, pull down the raft. Heat trail scorching the demon's path. From the grill to the pit, it owns the flame. Top it off more than just a name. Top it off in this fight, just flavor and fight. One bird to rule the night. Top it off, hot sauce. Fuel in the fire, melt to the sauce. Top it off, hot sauce. Ride or die, we never count the cost. RV up, the legend's born. Flavor and heat in every storm. Roll drop, two drop, can't be tamed. Tongues on fire, but I love the pain. Top it off, hot sauce.
「 evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 2025 season for the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. Getting ready here to take to the home of the Yard of Bricks. It's Indianapolis Motor Speedway next on tap as it and 3 races remain here in this regular season before we put together the 16 drivers that will battle in this season's playoffs. I'm Seth Colby, joined by Scott Rankin, and Scott, there's always those 4 crown jewel events, those 4 crown jewel racetracks: Daytona, Darlington, Charlotte, and Indy. We've put 3 of those in the rearview mirror. This is the last one standing, and an interesting positioning for it to be here on the schedule as well. Very prevalent towards drivers that are trying to get themselves into the playoffs, whether it's down around that points cut line or trying to get in through a checkered flag.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really important tonight to get the job done, Seth, and make sure you not only survive, but you're also there and you're banking a whole host of points. Stages are going to be the talk of the town yet again. Tire wear's going to be an interesting one. Tires are hanging on quite well. Here today, they plateau for a very long period of time, and dirty air, my word, we talk about dirty air like it goes out of fashion when you come to Indianapolis, but you're right, this is a critical juncture of the season. 3 races left to run. Well, you're not going to generally get it done in that last race. If you get down to the last race and it's a win-in situation, you're in a little bit of trouble, but you can dig yourself out of that hole. It's very, very difficult to do. If you're looking to point your way in, it probably started last week, the week before. But this is one of those important ones. You need a good race. If you're on the outside looking in, well, stuff that. You're going to need a great race.
Some tough racetracks coming up here down the home stretch, including the wild card race at Daytona for our regular season finale. Before we came on the air, you and I talked about it. This racetrack, it is very difficult to pass, especially when the field starts to get strung out here. One of the key areas where a lot of drivers can make up track time and track position is on pit road. Do we see that play out here tonight in this one? Because another thing you mentioned to me is this pit road's not the easiest thing to get onto.
Absolutely, the undercut is going to be very, very critical. But getting onto pit lane safely, keeping the car underneath you and executing on that pit stop is also going to be very, very difficult. You're right. Talking about pit lane entry. Well, there's a couple different pit lane entries that you use here at Indianapolis. For NASCAR, we have a cone that's a lot further out than they use for an IndyCar. IndyCar tends to get a little bit more room to be able to make their pit stall. So there's a couple little options that you can use inside the pit layout. But what this layout does do is it makes it a lot more difficult to get on the pit lane. Basically means as soon as you come off at turn 4, you're on the brakes, you're getting down into pit lane instead of having a little bit more room to get across, get down, and get on the brakes. So it's a difficult one here tonight for sure. And undercutting will be important because you can hold somebody off on older tires provided you look after them. You get that undercut, you'll fly on by them, but getting the overtake done on track is going to be so difficult. I think it's going to be critical.
2.5 miles in length, kind of similar in a sense in track length to Pocono. This is one of those racetracks where, dependent where you are in the field, maybe not necessarily towards the back of the pack, but mid-pack up in maybe the latter half of the top 10, for sure if you're the race leader or the top 2 or 3, you can come to pit road, you can make a pit stop, return to the track, and remain on the tail end of the lead lap. With that being said, how much do you think we will see in terms of our race leaders near the end of these stages flip the stage, or do you think if you're up at the front, you're staying at the front, as you alluded to get those valuable stage points?
I think if you're going to win the stage, you got to take the bonus point. Bonus playoff point is too important to sort of pass up. You've definitely got to be trying to take advantage of that one when it offers itself. But if you're in the rear of the field, you may as well, if you maybe only going to pick up 3 or 4 stage points back into the top 10, absolutely flip the stage, personally for me. Again, tires are going to fall off, but they're not going to fall off to a point whereby you're going to be done for a couple of laps on those tires. And the other thing about Indy, 51-second lap times here on, freshest tires, low 51 seconds. That's going to blow out into the 52, 53s. Similar situation to Pono. Guys that pit, they're within a couple seconds of the race lead, they're going to stay on the lead lap. So that's quite critical as well.
We'll be having drivers grading up more here momentarily. They had 10 minutes in qualifying here for tonight's race, and we've used up about 8 of those allotted 10 minutes here. So I took a little bit of time during the course of this week to see where our cut line would be, as we've got only 4 races, including this evening, until we're putting together that playoff grid. And a couple of drivers are going to be talking a lot about here tonight. Checking to see where they're running would be Matt Davies, Chris Hupka, Chris Roberge, and Rylan Faccianato. Right now, Matt Davies, 14th in overall points, is holding the final playoff position. He's got only 2 points over Chris Hupka, so those two are going to be bare knuckle fighting here tonight for track position and seeing who can get the most points allotted, see who has that final 16 spot when we get to Nashville Superspeedway next week. Distant behind them, you've got Chris Roberge. He, I believe, by my last calculation, is 53 points behind the cut line, and then a total of 74 points back is Rylan Faccianato. So for those two, they definitely need something good to start here with only a handful of races left. But the 32 Toyota, the number 5 Chevrolet, that's where a lot of our focus is going to be here in this one, provided we don't have another driver, a different driver, go to victory lane here, because that potentially could shift that cut line, and both of them could be on the outside looking and heading into next week.
Yeah, that's critical as well. They've got to keep half an eye on it, but I think we've seen quite a lot of those winners already. Particularly with Tom Bourne, the critical thing for Tom Bourne picking up that 17th playoff spot as a result of winning the wildcard race. That's critical as well, because that moves him out of that battle for the points, because he wasn't going to be in there and that sort of a stretch of things. But you're right, there's a number of drivers right there that are on that bubble that are in a compromised position that they've really got to keep an eye on exactly what's going on. But the first thing is, yes, you need to think about the points, but it doesn't need to be the focus of your entire race, is probably the big key for me. Yes, think about it. Yes, be aware of what you need to do. But if you're only focusing on points, you're going to make bad decisions out on the racetrack. Bad decisions, they compound. You make one bad decision, yeah, you're probably okay. You make 2 bad decisions, all right, now you're probably in a little bit of a hole. 3 bad decisions in a row. Then you're not focusing on the corners. Then you're not focusing on your braking markers. Then you're not focusing on the cars that are around you. So first and foremost, make sure that you're focusing on your race. Because at the end of the day, if you're focusing on the race, you have an opportunity to get a great result. If you're focusing on the points, you're not focusing on the race. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to score those points that you need.
We talk about it all the time, drivers that point their way into a postseason berth. We call it big picture racing, and one of the biggest
100%.
things in big picture racing, to your point, manage what you can manage. Don't go outside the comfort zone. Try and do something different. Don't try to get cute, because you may end up getting yourself caught out and give back more points than what you would have gained if you had just kept the tunnel vision with that big picture racing. Looks like we've got the drivers gridding themselves up here, getting ready for what will be 100 laps here tonight. Pretty straightforward as far as the stages. 25 laps for the first stage, then another 25 laps to lap 50 for a second stage, final 50 laps for the third and final stage here tonight. Big racetrack, though. Can we make it that 25 laps on a tank of fuel?
Yeah, we're right on the window. So it's 24. So as I sit here in the car, I got 13 gallons of fuel. That gives me 24.3 laps worth of gas. So if a little bit of saving, I'll make the end of the stage. A reasonable amount of saving, I can make the end of the stage and pit as well. So there is a few bits and pieces to think about there. Fuel saving will be relevant, but not as important as we think.
Well, Alan Dobbs coming to this race, the overall points leader, 100 plus points, back to second in the standings. Noah Jackson, 12 stage wins during the course of this season. He's accumulated 215 stage points, 941 laps led. I mean, if you go down a whole list of statistics for him here, looking for his 7th win on the season, has the pole position alongside of our own Scott Rankin, an all Toyota front row. A couple more Toyota's going to make up row number 2. The Camrys looked really fast, not only here in qualifying, but saw, a good half dozen of them up there inside of the top 8 positions. So if you've got your money on a Camry going to victory lane here tonight, pretty smart money, I'd say, in terms of the speed they've brought into Indianapolis.
Yeah, but now it becomes about racecraft. It becomes about strategy. So, it all changes. So it's not necessarily as one lap speed. You're going to see a lot of jostling for position on this opening lap. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see a caution on lap 1, and the reason I wouldn't be surprised to see that caution is it's so critical to get it done. Cold tires are definitely a little bit of a problem. We haven't necessarily gone launching down into turn one. You think about it. You come out of pit lane, you got somewhere in the realm of 2 miles worth of tire warming before you go on in practice session before you get down into turn one. So I expect this first lap, and it always is, it's the coldest tire lap of the night. It's the least grip lap of the night. So there could be a caution here on lap 1. As soon as we see a caution, we are good to the stage on fuel.
Total of 26 drivers taking the green. There you saw the drivers that took time. Chris Reese and Chris Robert going to be in that 13th and final row. They did not take time in qualifying. So on the 5th position, that bright green machine on the inside of row 3, Brandon Cooper. He went to victory lane last time out, picking up his 3rd win on the season back at Charlotte. May not mean a whole lot since he was already locked into the playoffs, but it does mean a lot in terms of bonus points because he was actually in a 3-way tie with Mark Gonzalez and Noah Jackson for the 2nd seed. Now with getting that 3rd win, he takes the 2nd seed alone, second only to Alan Dobbs. So in terms of positioning yourself with that first round of the playoffs there for Chicagoland, that could be important, those extra bonus points with picking up an extra checkered flag here during the regular season.
Yeah, it just puts yourself in a position where if something goes wrong, you are safe, you're secure, you feel a lot more comfortable about yourself. So there's little bits and pieces like that. Actually seeing some dust coming off the pace car down here in turn 4. So I think there might be just a touch of grip on the racetrack causing us some issues. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Pace car makes that left-hand turn to pit road down the long front straightaway to the yard of bricks. Alan Dobbs will bring him down into the restart zone. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and we are racing at the Brickyard. See if everyone minds their P's and Q's down here. Double wide into turn 1. Through the short chute to turn 2. Top 3 may get single file here. Jackson stays the left rear quarter pail, now tucks into the 3rd spot. Will be stacked up from 4th place on back. That's Cooper trying to get by Brock Whitehead on the top side.
And the big thing early on will be have a look at who's saving fuel, who's trying to make the because that will be quite critical.
So we've gotten ourselves pretty well single filed out amongst the top 10. Christian Ruse taking a look to the inside of Tom Bourne. That is currently for the 8th position. Ruse currently in a playoff spot through points. You alluded to it earlier. Tom Bourne getting that victory in the All-Star race, making him the 17th driver in the playoffs here this season, and looking to build off of that as he'll take that 8th spot. Ruse will fall back to 9th, and Ryan Catalano now will pick up a spot. Gets by Jeffrey Kleinsma, who slams the door on Matthew Rodriguez.
You'll see a lot of that shutting the door off, controlling the air tonight as well. It will be a big, big part of this. As well as making sure that you're managing the air. Again, we talked about it last week. Drivers able to slide up, take the air away off of people at Charlotte. And that was the big thing to securing the overtake or not. Was taking the slide job. Indy, the speeds are actually a fair bit higher with the 2.5 mile. The straights are so long. That's, you're sort of thinking about it a little bit more when you get to the corners. There's a lot of fuel games going on at the front at the moment, I can tell you that for sure.
Mentioned those long straightaways there off of 2 and off of 4. Kind of watching drivers here, trying to close up to make passes. Is there a scenario where you can get enough of a run off of 2 or off of 4 to be able to get to someone's left rear before you get to 1 or 3? Or is it by time you get the run, you're already getting ready to approach the upcoming corner?
Well, the gearing's so long that it sort of comes from a mistake is the big issue. Probably perfectly explained right there. I made a mistake on the way and shoot it down into turn 3. And that just sort of opened the door for Noah to jump on through. But I also think Noah's not necessarily thinking about the fuel at the moment. And that'll be a big part of that. Is that he thinks that he can press clear at the front. Remember, stage 2 is much, much easier because we enter stage 2 with a caution.
True. On board here with Noah Jackson. Ooh, gets down there. Close to that rumble strip, left side's below that white line. Perfectly legal here at this racetrack. White line is not considered out of bounds at Indianapolis, but Kind of looked like there with our onboard, maybe that car got a little loose getting those left sides down there.
Yeah, certainly. But you also want the car to turn. One of the big things historically with NASCAR going to Indy is the cars get wicked tight. Wicked tight. So anything that you can do to get some of that work over onto the right rear and off the right front is critical, but you also don't want to take it too far as well.
I can tell you one driver that is not in the save fuel category would be Tom Bourne. He's now made his way up to the 4th position. When we checked on him last, he was back around 8th, and he is laying down some of the fastest lap times in the field right now. Starting to see some drivers fading back a bit there. Trey Whitehead losing some spots in that 23. Looks like he's letting some drivers by it, so he's obviously in fuel save mode. Same for the 54 of Brandon Cooper. So to your point, we're kind of seeing the comers and goers, those that are fully committed to fuel saving to try and get to the end of the stage. Some of those that are banking on either a caution coming out to get them the entire way, or maybe just planning on maybe flipping this stage near the close of stage 1.
Yep. And that'll be the big thing. Making that decision. Doesn't matter what your decision is, just make it early and stick to it. If you're going to fuel save, do it. Make sure that you make the fuel. If you get caught in the middle, that's where the big problem is.
So in terms of fuel saving, did it have to start as soon as the green flag dropped? Or for some of these drivers to see moving forward, can they pick up the track position now and save the fuel later?
I don't think you'll be able to save enough, because remember, you're not just going to make the lap where the end of the stage comes out. You've also got to make the following one so that you can make it all the way around to get into pit lane, and that's the big issue. So I think you've got to save it from the very get-go. And there'll be some guys who think they can, and some guys who think they can't. Whoa, Tom Bourne just smoked the wall, got loose, not sure.
I think he might have gotten loose. Hangs on to it there. On board with Ryan Catalan. Looks like he's trying to follow Tom Bourne up through the field as well. Great save there by the 16 as he was trying to take the 2nd spot from Noah Jackson. Now he looks to regroup, fight his way back up there to the bumper of the Kubota Toyota Camry. This all taking place only about 3.5 car lengths behind Alan Dobbs, who's not been able to get away, but that again too could also be saving fuel, not wanting to open up quite that big of a distance over the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that'll be critical. I do believe you go on a ride-on, you'll be able to tell very quickly whether or not he is saving. But a lot of yeah, he's definitely saving. He should be pulling away a lot more than he is with the fresh air.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it there through the center of the corner. A lot of off the throttle time there as we're on board with the Treetop Toyota Camry over with his new team. Saw him debut with the team last week. Noah Jackson in the rearview mirror trying to close up the gap. Tom Bourne a distant 3rd, and Ryan Catalano's now moved into 4th as he's trying to work his way up through the field. Another driver coming into this race that's just trying to pad the points. Catalano came into this one, I believe, in the 14th seed as the playoffs are currently put together. Now, correction, make that the it was the 13th seed that he's currently in right now. Currently ahead of Jeffrey Kleinsma, who he picked up a couple of spots against last week. Also Matt Mettler, dropping him down closer to the cut line area. Putting together a good run here, and might be looking for more stage points to continue to put some more distance between him and that gap, as we got one coming to pit road back there. That's Matthew Rodriguez in the 10 car, I do believe. Very early on, this I would assume is an unscheduled stop, or is this maybe coming to pit road, getting the insurance of fuel to get to the conclusion and banking that if a caution comes out, everybody else will come to pit road and he's going to gain a lot of track position?
Something going on here at the moment, so just give me 2 moments.
Rodriguez pulls to the attention of his crew. As Alan Dobbs continues to show the way. Good battle here for 3rd. These are 2 drivers that are obviously not in fuel save mode. Working their way up towards the front. Catalano will pick up the spot there on Tom Bourne. Scott alluded to the fact that tires are going to be important in this one, and we saw the big save that Tom Bourne had. You have to wonder, did that slide maybe build a little too much heat in those rear Goodyears, and now he's struggling on the long run, why the 92 was able to take a bit of advantage.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, he drove his way through a lot of cars, but he got a lot of track position. We've already talked about track position will be important. So, and the draft is huge here. You know, very, very long straightaways. So if you can break the draft to the cars behind, that's quite critical.
Alan Dobbs, we documented 12 stage victories this season. Noah Jackson, who's second in points, only one stage win here in 2025. And for Catalano, Tom Bourne in third and fourth, a 0 currently in the stage win column. So opportunity for them to maybe get themselves a playoff point, as Bourne's already in through his all-star win. Catalano currently looking like he's making a good case for himself to point his way in to the postseason. Distant sixth place is where you find the two Whitehead brothers, that being Brock in front, Trey just behind. Big gap from them back to Brandon Cooper. Things starting to spread out quite a bit here, kind of a everybody running their own race type of thing more than battling each other outside of this side-by-side for second place.
Yep. And Catalano's going to get some assistance from Tom. And Jackson got the drafting assistance from Alan Dobbs as well. He just rotates it back nicely back underneath. Tom's going to get the walls, so that's just... The thing was, Catalano went deep into the corner to try and get the move done, and Tom tried to follow him, but the leading car can do it, the trailing car cannot.
Not only that, but both of them were in the process of making the pass on Noah Jackson. Maybe a little shallow going into turn 3 and paying for it off the corner.
Yeah, for sure. That's 100% what those guys would have been sealing, and you can see Tom really struggling with the dirty air now as well.
Yeah, you can see him sawing on the wheel there, trying to make sure it didn't get the wall into the short chute between 1 and 2. Running in the draft of Noah Jackson right now, trying to make his way by. Jackson going to move low there, trying to break any draft of Bourne being able to get up to his back bumper on the back straightaway. Now pulls back up in front of him, heading into turn 3. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead starting to heat up. Catalano has closed it up to within a car length on Alan Dobbs. The question, though, is would he have the fuel to make it the entirety of this run? We're going to be about halfway through this first stage now, coming to the completion of lap 12.
Yeah, that'll be the big question mark about... Have a look at the Whiteheads trying to group up and rejoin that pack as well. The big question will be fuel. And I think Catalano's basically saying, right, we get a yellow at any stage. I'm going to win this stage because I'll have the track position as a result of that one. But we don't get a yellow. He's in a lot of trouble.
Took a look that time into 1. Catalano, Dobbs slams the door on him, riding on board with the 92. See him get the run there down the back straightaway, and there's the caution.
There's the yellow.
Scotty Stevens off of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway, and a lot of drivers, to your point. This fits right into their strategy to be able to make it the rest of the way. It also, though, for a number of drivers, may play into strategy of if they weren't thinking they were going to get stage points, come to pit road now, maybe flip the stage, gain the track position at the start of stage 2.
It's a little bit early for that. I'd be wanting to do it sub 5 laps at the end of the stage. But from here, it's definitely quite a little bit early to be able to come down. I mean, the big thing is if you slap tires on right now, you will probably make some sort of a gain. But the issue with that is that when we restart the next stage, you're going to be plummeting because you effectively split this stage in half. And there he goes around. I wonder whether or not Scotty Stevens has been shifting this whole time because you can wheel the rear tires shifting.
Take a look
is another issue.
Go on board with that number 2 Dark Horse Mustang. Was all by himself.
Looks
Car
like he got
starts getting
tires
out of shape on the entry to the corner.
I wonder whether or not he got into the grass as well. Yeah, he's in 4th.
Oh, you right there. Yep, left front definitely clipped the grass. Pretty good contact with the outside wall as well. This is a racetrack that is heavily dependent on aerodynamics, specifically the straight line speed. And even the slightest sprinkle on the race car is more than likely going to lose you some valuable miles per hour. You can see right there, you can see the little trail that he left, clipping the grass with the left side tires, noses it into the outside wall with the overcorrect, pushed in there on the grill. This caution's going to save Matthew Rodriguez, who we saw come to pit road. I'm assuming it was an unscheduled stop. The amount of time he spent on pit lane may have tank slapped the wall and was on pit road for about 3/4 of a second, or 3/4 of a minute, I should say. He was the first car one lap down, the time that this yellow flew, so he will get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. Looks like Alex Heller also made a pit stop under that green flag run, lost the lap as well, so he will await the next caution to be able to get the free pass.
Scott Stevens as well. And so just hearing from Matt Rodriguez, he forgot where pit lane started. So he was jumping out of the pack to get that first stop that he was looking for was actually scheduled. He did actually want to try the undercut and trying to get down there, but he sped on pit lane. Is what caused the unscheduled length.
So he and Emma Watson have something in common. Caught for speeding.
I can tell you. Actually, you want to know a fun fact about a track that just recently got added to iRacing in Portland? There is a motocross track on the internals of Portland. I've got an Aussie broadcasting colleague at the moment that's just doing some B-roll footage for an event later on today. And he's sending me shots of him driving around the motocross track at the moment in the cameras with the drones, getting some footage. So apparently the iRacing did a great job of scanning the motocross track at Portland.
Huh.
How about that?
Does it have physics? Can you take a stock car out there and jump over the motocross course? Because now my curiosity is piqued.
I don't believe you can, because I'm sure there'd be barriers from getting you in there. But,
should get the lights out, I believe, this time by for 1 to green. A couple of drivers towards the back of the pack coming in. There's Chris Roberge in the 9. If we have a playbook on Chris Roberge this season, I would assume this is more than likely him coming to pit road now. We're going to see him stay out at the end of stage 1 onto stage 2. He's done that quite a number of times here this season. Of course, trying to keep himself in the conversation to point his way into a playoff position. Currently below the cut line, coming into this race by a total of 53 points to Matt Davies. Let's check in actually on that battle for the final playoff spot. There were only 3 points separating Matt Davies from Chris Hubka. Davies is going to restart on the outside of row 7 and 14th. Hubka only 2 spots ahead, actually going to start right in front of him on the outside of row number 6 in the 12th position. So according to live scoring, it would be Davies over Hubka by 1 point for the 16th playoff position.
Yeah, that's critical, isn't it? Keeping an eye on that one. A lot of racing to go, though, today. We're only 15 laps into this one and on our 16th circuit. So there's 85 to go. And we go green here at the end of this one. There'll be 9 to go on the stage as well. So either of them can grab some stage points. That'll tinker with that mathematics as well. That'll be quite critical. Very curious about how many cars took tires here. How many cars made a pit stop?
Based off of the length of the pit stop, looks like Dalton McKenney, Tanner Marr, Chris Reese, Brian Zimmerman, Larry Bell, and potentially Matthew Rodriguez and Alex Heller, but they spent a little bit extra time on there as well, so they might have actually done a little bit more damage repair here. So it looks like maybe 4 or 5 drivers might have gone with tires here on this pit stop.
Well, back into the restart zone.
First restart of the night.
Dobbs. Yep.
Lap 17 will go up on the board. We'll have a total of 9 laps to go here in the first stage at Indianapolis. Dobbs Catalano the front row. Dobbs the control car gets himself a nice launch. You'll have him stacked up from second place on back as he's got smooth sailing into turn 1.
It's amazing what some fresh air will do to you. Front end of this thing.
Top 3 gets single filed out, inverted numbers side by side. 16 gets by 61 for P4. Here comes Trey Whitehead, now on the charge. And this is where we start to see the drivers that were saving fuel. Now they're not saving fuel anymore, right? That caution got us to be able to get to the conclusion of the stage. Now everybody's full out.
Pretty much.
And we nearly had some contact for second place right there. Catalano and Noah Jackson door to door going through.
That'll be
three.
fence.
Catalano into the wall. Hangs on to it, nearly spun off the nose of Tom Bourne, who came up into there and clipped the left rear quarter panel. Look at everybody fanning out, trying to find somewhere to go as the 92 wounded on the front straightaway.
He got that wall hard too, so I'm not surprised he is wounded. Day's not over for him though. He can keep the car alive.
Still trying to hang on for stage points there as he's now dropped back. Scoring currently has him in the 12th position. Dobbs has been able to pull away now by a full second after that moment off of 4, and everybody fanning out, checking up for the Catalano incident. Jackson now into 2nd. Rankin 3rd, Whitehead 4th. Battle's going to be for 5th. That's Brock Whitehead looking low on Tom Bourne. Going to get some drafting assistance from a fellow Toyota and Brandon Cooper down the front straightaway.
And the big thing will now be who's put damage on their right front tire, who's got some tire underneath them as well. Think about the Whiteheads as well, and they're charged back through the field. They had a lot of clear air at certain points. So we'll have reasonable race cars.
Night out here as well. Milwaukee Tool sponsor number 5, right behind him, the Watt number 32 of Matt Davies. These two battling potentially for the final playoff spot, that 16th playoff spot. Right now, Hubka's in the final position that would get a stage point. Davies is the first car outside of the top 10 as we come around here, and we will hit 6 laps to go here in stage 1. These aren't open wheel cars, but we're IndyCarring down the front straightaway, trying to break the draft of the drivers behind him, snaking down the front stretch.
Yeah, draft so crucial. But the biggest thing is making sure that you build the run off of the corners. Don't need to have great entries. It's all about those giant long straightaways on each side of the track. Got to play the rectangle. Got to play for speed on the longest parts of that rectangle.
Talk about draft. It was a second advantage that Dobbs had over the rest of the field. They've reeled him in with the aid of that slipstream. Now less than a tenth of a second from Dobbs back to Noah Jackson. Another couple car lengths back to a brewing third place contest between Rankin and Trey Whitehead. Got one coming to pit road back there.
Seth.
Catalano's coming
Yeah,
in.
I think-
That damage.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I think he had to.
Ooh, close back there between Rylan Faccianato and Christian Ruse. They're still door-to-door for 8th place, making their way through 1 and 2. Neither one giving an inch, trying to side draft each other back. Ooh, little contact right there. Got to be careful.
Got to be smart about how you're side drafting people as well. You may lose the draft with the cars ahead. You can do it. If 2 cars side draft each other at Daytona, and there's no assistance behind them, you will lose the draft on your own. That's more important. Well, I mean, it's just as important at Indy. It's less important probably at Daytona, because once you lose that draft, you are done. But
Tom Bourne feeding
big thing I'm
back
saying
there.
is error manipulation, Seth. We've already talked about it a fair bit, but it is very much error manipulation.
And again, too, we talk about it all the time, but those that don't necessarily know how the air works with stock cars, when we see side drafting, the car that's making the pass, that's doing the side drafting, they're not going faster. They're making the car they're trying to pass go slower, and in turn, it slows both the cars down to whoever they're trying to catch and or whoever they're trying to stay ahead of. So while you're helping yourself in one way, you're hurting yourself and the other driver at the same time.
Yeah, but if you can get that pass down, get clear, that is always far more critical, far more crucial.
Oh!
But you're right, so...
Sorry to cut you off. Got a moment in the back. Oh, Jeffrey Kleins was just hit the attenuator wall. Was trying to save it. Front end hit that start to the pit wall. He's on pit road. No caution going to fly, but that was a massive impact for the Mountain Dew Chevrolet.
Yeah, that was a huge moment.
Car's still
running. That was a huge moment. He's still okay. He'll have a fast repair available to him here tonight, Seth, too. So that's not his race done. It's just his race really impaired. But again, that's traffic. That's how difficult it is to get the pass done.
He's trying to get by Matt Davies. Davies got the wall as he bounced off of it. Nowhere for Kleinsma to go, and he was trying to gather it. You could just kind of see that car was starting to project towards that inside wall right there. That last turn slams it with the right rear quarter panel. Big impact with the front end into the inside pit wall there, right where the pit boxes are. Fortunate it was down towards pit road, so more drivers were not collected, but that is a massive, massive hit for Jeffrey Kleinsma. And that's going to be a lot of damage to have to contend with, even if he's able to continue the rest of this race here tonight.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to get back out there. I think he needs to keep scoring points because he can't afford to drop points with where he is in the point standings. Even if it's only 1 or 2 more points he picks up, that will actually be critical.
11th
with the way that this is trending.
Points, as you alluded to, I believe he is currently in the, I want to say the 14th position as the standings would currently run, and coming off a poor performance last week at Charlotte too, where he dropped a couple spots. So looks like it's going to be back-to-back poor weeks for that number 15 Chevrolet. And one thing you do not want to be on here in the closing stage of a regular season is a skid.
No. Back end of things, you definitely want to be right there and amongst it. You want to be trending up. It's about performance, isn't it? You know, they talk about performance. I think one of the big things is tennis players. You hear a lot about tennis players. They'll actually play their opening round matches of the major tournaments really, really gently and ease themselves into it. What they're trying to do is peak at the back end of the tournament when the big payouts are decided. But you can peak too early, but you can also peak too late too. If you're peaking at the back end of the tournament, but you don't make the end of the tournament, well then, you know, what's going on. But I think the big thing for stock car racing, you know, I was talking to a bunch of drivers last night. I actually had the pleasure of, we're actually going to see the end of the stage right here too. But it's a confidence sport, Seth. It's big time confidence sport. And we'll get into that after we talk about the stage results and pit stops.
13th stage win on the season for Alan Dobbs, second with his new team. We saw him win stage 2 last week at Charlotte. Take stage 1 here tonight at Indianapolis. Noah Jackson will cross in second, rank in third. Then Trey and Brock Whitehead, the top 5. Tom Bourne, Brandon Cooper, Ryan Facinato, Christian Ruse, and Dalton McKenney going to snipe himself a stage point here at the conclusion. Hupka and Davies, that battle between those two, 11th and 12th. Neither one able to cash in on stage points here at the conclusion of this first one. And for Ryan Catalano, saw him come to pit road, get some damage repair done on his machine. He'll be the car 1 lap down that will get the free pass here under this stage yellow. Kleinsma did return to the racetrack. He is 2 laps down. Alex Heller also 2 laps down. All 26 drivers took the green flag to start this race. Look like they'll be taking the green flag here for the upcoming restarts.
Yeah, importantly, so I was talking to, I got the opportunity to interview a buddy of mine last night for finishing third in V8 Pro Statistics in Australia. And was chatting to him about it, and one of the things that he said, he's having the best season of his sim racing career for a good couple of years. You know, this is a driver that's made it all the way to Porsche Super Cup. He's capable, he's handy, and it's eventuated in getting some real-world opportunities as well. He races Toyota 86s. One of the things that he says is a confidence sport. It's a big-time confidence sport. So, you know, peaking at the back end of tournaments and a season is critical. But that comes as of running in and doing the laps and being confident in the car, being confident yourself, being confident with what you're doing, being confident with the way that you go about your racing and finishing races consistently as well. And that's the biggest thing that he said this year. Look, to be perfectly honest, I nearly sold the sim. I nearly got out of things last year. He had a huge accident, the Gold Coast Street Circuit, and walked away okay, a little bit bruised, a little bit shaken, but you know, by and large was okay. And that was nearly the catalyst for him selling everything. He said, I'm so glad I didn't. Because at that point in time, I was not driving well in the sim or the real world, you know, and it was really taking a toll on me, and I wasn't confident, and I wasn't happy, and there's some techniques and things that just wasn't working out the way that I wanted to work them out. And yeah, he said, you know, that's the biggest thing: confidence heading to the back end. So a lot in that, I think.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, I say it all the time, and we had an instance of it actually on this past Monday night, where sometimes it's just that one race. May not even necessarily have to be a win. It could just be a solid top 5 run, a top 10 run when the whole season's just not been going your way, and you're thinking, do I still have it? Can I still be competitive? It just takes that one performance to just build the confidence back. And we've seen a number of drivers here this season, kind of use as an example, Patrick McQuaid. I mean, he's been Mr. Consistency here this season, continually finishing up, if not inside of the top 5, inside the top 10. His last couple of finishes have been up inside of the podium. Obviously, he wants that trip to victory lane to kind of cap it all off, but you can't say enough about finding your groove and being able to hit it consistently week after week after week. For drivers that have the hard luck in doing that, like I said, all it takes is just that one good performance, and after that, you look at them and it's like an entirely different driver. All of a sudden, they've got their mojo back and they're back to racing form, finishing up inside of the top 5 and top 10 every week once again as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's big. It really, really is big, the confidence level that you can get going for yourself and the run that you necessarily can get on. Like you said, you called it. Chris Roberge stayed out.
I've seen this play before.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Michigan was the last time that he did this. Granted, back at that point, we ended up having a couple of cautions during the course of the first stage, so we didn't necessarily see the play coming right then and there, but with the only caution we had so far here in stage 1, and him one of a very few drivers that came to pit road, seemed like more than likely this was going to be his strategy. And two drivers that aren't going to be all that thrilled about that are Jeffrey Kleinsma and Alex Heller, because I think they were fully banking on everybody coming to pit road. They'd be able to take the wave around, get one of their 2 laps back respectively. With the 9 staying out, you saw they had to drop to the rear of the field. They'll both remain -2 to the race leaders.
Yep, which is disappointing for them. They're going to need multiple cautions now. It's 2 cautions before either of those guys gets back on the lead lap. And if someone pits here, under green flag conditions, takes them back to 1 lap down, they're in a little bit of trouble. You should see everyone, barring another yellow flag, everyone should pit again at the end of the next stage. So that gets them back to 1 lap down. But it'll be on the field to stay clean at this point in time.
I do have a question here. I believe we had this type of a scenario back at, I want to say it was Michigan. I have noticed that a couple of drivers have come down pit road and they've taken on faster pairs. So are we in the same kind of boat that we were back in Michigan, where based off of admin discretion, drivers are able to utilize a faster pair here tonight?
Yeah, exactly the same. There is faster pairs in play tonight. I mean, when you think about it, it is 2.5 miles, so that does play into that super speedway style ruling. But yeah. We do have faster pairs available, which is, you see Scotty Stevens is back in the race. You see Kleinsma's back out there.
Yeah,
Kleinsma shouldn't be rolling.
Ryan Catalano, Alex Heller. Right now I've got on the list that have taken on a faster pair. Of course, we saw Kleinsma with the spin on the pit road. Catalano pancaked the outside wall off of 4, so they should now be back up to speed here, being able to use that mulligan. We'll be racing to the conclusion of stage 50 here for stage number 2 here at Indianapolis, and Chris Roberge's Chevrolet is going to get us back under the green. Dobbs, who won stage 1, will line up to his outside as we'll head for turn number 1. Pretty decent jump there for the Monster Energy Camaro on that inside line.
I mean, he gets to control the restarts, and he's done that well, so.
That optimal clean air, albeit going to have about 12 lap older tires to the drivers behind him. Is there a point where clean air can cancel out fresh tires? Is there like a number that you can kind of take away that advantage of the fresh Goodyears in your rearview mirror?
Not 100% certain, but the big thing will be if he can just block the lanes, jam up the air. At the moment, he's doing quite well. Remember,
wreck in the back, big wreck. Several cars involved. Dalton McKenney Jonathan Cogswell, big hit for Brian Zimmerman. We're still wrecking there as more drivers pile in. The front straightaway is littered with race cars. At least 4 or 5 drivers collected up in this one. It started with the 46 of Dalton McKenney and several others collected up.
Here we go. Here we go. That was a big one.
Tanner Marr's car is broken.
Yeah, he's gonna be done. He's just trying to get that thing back around to the end of the lap so that he can take the faster pit.
He's a driver that has formerly won this season, but he's not high enough in the points, or at least not high enough in terms of starts right now to be eligible for a playoff position, and this is not going to help his cause here this evening. Brian Zimmerman's car is still running, but look at the damage on the front end of that car as he nosed it up into the outside wall. There's Jonathan Cogswell pulling to driver's right. Know that he got a piece of that one as well.
I think Alex Heller might be done for the day. Tanner Marr took a tow as well. Well, you said we needed... I do wonder who's going to get the lucky dog here, because that was at the back, and there's every opportunity for Kleinsma and Heller. Well, Heller towed.
Yeah, Heller was definitely involved. His whole right front was ripped off.
He'll be done.
Kleinsma, I don't know if he was in it or not. We'll see here on the replay. It's Matt Mettler up on the outside. That purple and green. Oh, wow, just got loose off the exit of the corner. Everyone darts to avoid. That's where Cogswell goes around. Kleinsma did get a piece of it. He got into Tanner Marr. Man, that's a big hit for Brian Zimmerman. Scotty Stevens into the inside wall. Larry Bell, ooh, I thought he got it avoided, but he hits the outside wall trying to avoid Cogswell.
Cogswell had a huge rapid spin. And the other thing is, there'll be no lucky dog awarded. There'll be no one back to 1 lap down off of that one. And Chris Roberge just took a pit stop as well. So he gave up leading.
I had to explain to everybody, I believe you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If you end up getting an incident point around the time that the wreck takes place, that makes you ineligible for the lucky dog. With the contact, we saw both the 15 and the 18 making this wreck. That renders their free pass eligibility null and void.
Yeah, and there's 2 ways to get an incident point. One of them is to pick up an off-track, which is driving down through the grass or in an off-track location. You can pick them up without driving through grass, sand, dirt. But the other one is contact, and any car contact is enough to reject the lucky dog. Effectively, you've got to remember, for a lucky dog system, we are working on an automated system. What is the easiest and cleanest and quickest way to make that system work without complex background coding and consideration of incidents, which is very, very hard to do, by the way. It's very hard to tell a computer who's at fault for an incident, or get a computer the skills it needs to figure it out. So incident points. So you get them for car contact. That's a nice, easy metric. Everyone knows what the rules are, and everyone races to those rules as well.
Another driver collected up in this that we didn't document was the 77 of Patrick McQuaid. Kind of got boxed up there into the outside wall. We're on board with Jeffrey Kleinsma, the 15. There he is into Tanner Marr. Contact into that right rear quarter panel. We saw the 4 kind of crab walking leaving the scene. That contact in the right rear, more than likely a broken toe link, I would assume.
Yep.
So caution out for the 2nd time for cause here tonight. 3rd caution overall, combined with our stage caution. Everybody was good to make it on fuel, regardless of if the caution came out here in stage 2. As you alluded to, we'd be ticking off a few laps before going green, so it wouldn't be nearly as long a distance. But now this caution absolutely gets everybody to the conclusion of the stage caution at the conclusion of lap 50.
And the second stage, the final stage, everyone will be driving to lap 75. That'll be everyone's goal. And get home from 75. 76, you don't need to save. So, bit of caution just before those numbers. It is on for the save. You can certainly do it. I would say 26 to go is the earliest that you can come. Under caution, maybe it's 27. Maybe you can get that extra lap that you need.
So it looks like we're going to have 23 drivers on the lead lap here. Those drivers are on the racetrack right now. 3 drivers on pit road. Kleinsma, Marr, and Heller. Kleinsma currently -2. Same for Tanner Marr. Heller is currently 4 down, so they would need multiple cautions to be able to get themselves back on the lead lap outside of the upcoming stage caution for the completion of stage number 2. Keeping an eye there on the Chris Hubka, Matt Davies battle. Still pretty close there. Hubka going to restart in the 8th position. Davies is going to be back in 13th. Neither one were able to capitalize on stage points at the end of stage 1. Right now, Hubka's in line for stage points if he can hang on to a top 10 here for the upcoming 17 laps. As Alan Dobbs re-inherits the race lead after Chris Roberts made the dive onto pit road for 4 tires and will restart back in 17th. Scott Rankin to his outside, then Trey Whitehead, Noah Jackson, and Matt Metler cracks the top 5 for the first time tonight. Bat green here on lap 34.
You just see how much control the leader's got on those restarts too. Just completely utterly in control of what the field does.
Pretty sizable restart box there as well, so a lot of options of when to launch. Peyton Holland had thoughts about 6th place on Matt Metler, tucks in line, and now Tom Bourne will look to the inside. And he'll slide just up in front to be able to pick up P7. Oh, and then nearly got shipped there by Peyton Holland into 3. Holland has to check up, and Hubka looking to get some momentum to make a move. Tom Bourne still trying to pick up spots. He'll now go to the inside of Matt Metler. That's for P6.
The big thing, Seth, will be picking where you're trying to run in the corners as well. Already starting to see Trey Whitehead get a little bit caught out in terms of the dirty air. That'll be the big thing, is patience. Patience at Indianapolis. You got to wait for the mistake from the car around you. When the mistake happens, you sort of got to slam the door open, get through, and get the job done as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like what you just alluded to there, the passing here at Indy, more so the driver in front of you giving the opportunity than you being able to create the opportunity yourself.
Yeah, that's huge. Absolutely critical, is it's all about opportunism at Indianapolis. You can side draft, you can stall guys out. If you're not accurate with how you drive the race car. And making sure that you wrap the bottom in the turns is what you do in an IndyCar. It's not necessarily that easy in a NASCAR.
Some bad news if you're the Patrick McQuaid fan club. Looks like he is quite a ways off the pace there. Man, we are blocking for 2nd place there. Down the back straightaway, Trey Whitehead throwing the block on Scott Rankin. Here comes Noah Jackson now with a run to the inside for 3rd place, but looks like Patrick McQuaid is off the pace back there after getting some damage from the earlier incident, and caution's going to wave. Scotty Stevens has had another moment. This time it's over in the entrance of turn 3. Third caution for cause. 2nd caution that Scotty Stevens has been involved in. Had a solo spin off of 2 that brought out our 1st caution of the night. And we'll take a look and see if this one was also solo or if there was a little bit of assistance in this spin going into... This was actually, I believe, the short shoot from 3 into 4. Matthew Rodriguez behind him. Just gets loose again. Trying to pull up onto the back of Rylan Faccianato. Back end starts coming around. Couldn't catch it. Caution will wave, and this should, I believe, put Tanner Marr back on the lead lap. Either put him on the lead lap or put him to 1 down. I know he was 2 down when we went green. He might have already gotten the free pass here to put himself to -1. We'll double check on that here. So the timing of a yellow back in stage 1, you said it was way too soon to start thinking about coming down pit road to flip the stage. Where are we here as
Roberge
far
did
as
well off
flipping
it.
the stage here?
Well, we're right on that same window for pitting as we were in the first stage, and Roberge did well. He was hanging on to it. He was not getting run down. So the big issue for Roberge was that his fuel position was all wrong. Now, in stage 3, that changes. Now, it is still for me, it's a one-stop stage 3. There is some saving required to make it happen. But in order to do that, you sort of do have to go green the whole way as well. And that's the critical thing. So if nobody can actually get there on fuel, it's a 2-stop race. But we're missing 1 lap of fuel out of both fuel tanks that you'll have to do in stage 3. So it's very, very tight. I would say it's doable to do it in 1. But for Chris Roberge, why not flip the stage? But this time, don't give it up. The only reason he gave it up in stage 2 is because he wasn't going to make it on fuel in stage 2. That's the only reason he gave it up. But he was looking for some track position, and he stayed out of the big one, so it absolutely helped him.
Saw Jeffrey Kleinsma make his way around the leaders. He's going to get the free pass, so he'll go from 2 to 1 lap down. Currently in the 25th position. Last car running currently. All 26 cars are still scored in the race, though still a lengthy stay on pit road for the 18 of Alex Heller. Remind everybody, next week, only 3 races remain here in the regular season, and we will be at the concrete surfaced mile and a third speedway known as Nashville Super Speedway. It's the music-themed race as well. Opportunity for those that are already locked into the playoffs to continue to pad playoff points. Maybe an opportunity for somebody to pull off some tire strategies. We will be talking about those Goodyears a ton next week, to be able to maybe get themselves a last-minute win to lock themselves into a position in the postseason. That'll be going down next Wednesday night here on FRN, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Road America Daytona, the last 2 races of the regular season. So Nashville going to be setting quite an interesting table for the drivers that are good at the road courses or good at the super speedways. You know, Chris Reese, been watching him during the course of this one. He's been kind of conservative on these restarts. He's been letting some drivers by, been able to maintain a position up inside of the top 15. Started off the season with the victory at Daytona, locking himself up a playoff position, and probably got to look at him as one of the favorites when we get to the final regular season race, when we head back to where he got his first win here in 2025.
Pointing out, Seth, is that we're off to another themed race next week, the music race at Nashville. Nashville's another track where it's hard to overtake as well. But tire wear's a bigger factor at Nashville. Historically, tire wear's been a bigger factor. You know, this new tire, I just don't know. We go to some places where I'm expecting there to be a reasonable amount of fall off, you know, maybe overtaking's a bit easier, and it's not necessarily been. This one we always knew it was going to be pack racing, it was going to be single file, overtakes were going to be difficult. So this one's racing just about as expected. But Nashville's a bit of a question mark. I've seen some great races at Nashville over the years. I'm a big fan of Nashville. The concrete slabs just make for a unique racetrack.
You're going to have to do me a favor next week. If he shows up to race, you're going to have to give Matt Rod a hard time about Nashville and remind him about the Funnel Cake episode.
Funnel Cake? Oh my word.
So he went
stories.
to Nashville Super Speedway. I think it was for the Xfinity race. He didn't stay for the Cup race that weekend. And it was blistering hot. Like, it was in the mid to high 90s. And this man decided that it'd be a great idea to get a funnel cake, and with all of that sugar, it just exacerbated the heat, and he said he was borderline dead by the time he left the racetrack.
Oh, poor man.
So
it'd be fun things when you go out at the races.
So iRacing's great with their scan. If they scanned where Matt Rod got the funnel cake, I gotta make absolutely certain that somehow is featured on the broadcast next week. Green flag in the air, 11 laps to go here in stage 2. Near contact for second as Jackson will muscle his way by Whitehead for that runner-up spot. Things going to get somewhat sorted out. Well, maybe not. 4th place might be clear for Rankin on Whiteheads. Make that Tom Bourne right there. Trying to fill in the gap to driver's right. Matt Mettler's made an appearance up here in the top 10 late in this stage. He's holding down the 7th position. Brandon Cooper right behind him. Ooh, tight there off of turn 4 as Whitehead had to bail out of the throttle, and look at the momentum. He's losing down the front straightaway. Bourne got him. Mettler gets him. Cooper's going to clear around the outside as well. Just that one little breathing of the throttle cost him 4 spots from turn 4 to turn 1.
Well, that's what I said. You know, you can't have bad exits. Yeah. You've got to have good exits. And the reason that you got to have good exits is exactly what just happened right there. You can't afford to make mistakes that big. And that was the issue. He had a choice to make too, Brock, whether or not he was going to shove the nose to the inside. Now, admittedly, I'm the car ahead, so I'm a little bit biased on that one. But I will say that if you're thinking about your race and you're thinking about where you're trying to place the car and what you're trying to do with it, he was on my inside. He was probably going to lose the spot off a corner exit. And at that point in time, if you're definitely going to lose the spot, sacrifice one spot to hang on to where you are. And that's the big thing. Is again, I'll throw back to the interview I was talking about last night. The guy that I was talking to then said a lot about he had a P3 car, so he drove to P3. That's what he had. And there are times that it is absolutely better to drive more aggressive than that. But if you've got a car that's only good enough for a certain position in the field, you drive to that position. And anything you get above that's a bonus. Oh, here we go.
Big save. Chris Reese hangs on to it. Not sure exactly. I couldn't tell who it was that he went off the nose of, but doesn't hit the inside wall. Keeps it going. Keeps it pointed in the right direction. Now the caution is going to wave. Matt Mettler is around, and he's been struggling this last couple of laps. He had brushed the wall. He had Peyton Holland to his inside, exiting out of 1, pancaked the wall at that point, and it looks like that thing has finally gone around over here in turn 3.
Yeah, big issue for him, unfortunately. We're talking about flipping the stage. This is the window to flip the stage, Seth. This is a big window to flip the stage if you want to do it.
Let's take a look at both the incidents here. We'll start first with Chris Reese. Gets loose there. Rylan Faccianato kind of finishes him off, and that's a great save by Reese. I mean, there's a safer barrier down there, but I'm pretty sure there's a tire barrier down there that Brad Keselowski hit at one point. And then this is what happens to Matt Mettler as Christian Roos sticks his nose in there. Big hit for Matt Mettler as that car came up and off the ground.
Big hit.
Let's watch this down the back straightaway. As mentioned, Mettler has been really struggling. Had been up in the wall a couple of times the last couple of laps. Really high here off of turn 2.
He's up, he's out of the groove, he's got more momentum.
Yeah, he's got some draft there, maybe from Hupka as well. So the age-old question when it comes to a track like this, though, was how long was he there? Because a lot of times you'll see drivers make those late moves going into the corner, kind of catches the car that's defending off guard. They come down, fully expecting nobody's going to be there, and the contact is made. Let's see what the helicopter cam here. See for how long the 14 was to his left rear quarter panel. Looks like it was for a pretty decent amount of time.
And he sort of cleared himself, got in there nice and deep into 3 and 4, and gained a whole bunch of ground. Yeah. But you also see the car on his inside was actually a mile off the bottom as well. So
yeah.
there's a little bit of both cars in that. So the car on the bottom has also missed the bottom. You know, at the end of the day.
Called the gray area when it comes to speedway racing. And Matt Mettler pays the price on that impact as he's brought his machine to pit road. Of course, Matt Mettler, another driver in the conversation around that cut line. He was in the 15th seed coming into this race, and he was only 12 points to the good above Matt Davies, who was in the final 16th seed. So not that much of a cushion, certainly not safe by any means, and could ill afford a bad run here tonight at Indianapolis. He's going to fall at least a lap down here, maybe more, as they continue to service his Chevrolet on pit road. Could find himself in an interesting situation depending on where the 32 and the 5 finish here tonight, with 3 races remaining in the regular season. By the way, as you documented, interesting the timing of this caution of drivers maybe being able to flip the stage. Did have a handful of drivers coming down pit road here. Yourself, Tom Bourne, Matthew Rodriguez, looks like Rylan Faccianato, Scotty Stevens.
Yeah.
Patrick McQuaid was also on pit road, but continuing to make repairs to that machine as he has been off the pace for the last 10 to 15 laps. Should get the 1 to green signal this time by, and we continue to document Chris Hupka, Matt Davies. Well, neither of them capitalized on stage points back at the conclusion of stage 1. They finished 11th and 12th. They're going to restart side by side with each other here, it looks like. Well, no, actually they'll be kitty corner to each other. Hupka in 8th, Matt Davies in 9th. So they're in the latter half of the top 10 here, trying to snap up some valuable stage points here when there was only 3 points separating those two for the 16th spot in the playoffs coming into tonight's event.
Yeah, so I think those guys are obviously making their play for stage points. I think they got to, though. It's basically the guys that are best placed to flip the stage are people who want another win heading into the playoffs, people who don't have a win heading into the playoffs. Basically, guys that are, if you're looking for stage points, stage wins, you flip the stage on stage 1. On stage 2, you go back to a normal strategy. If you're looking for race wins, it's stage 2 you want to flip.
Gonna be interested to keep an eye on that purple and yellow number 46 of Dalton McKenney back there. He's gonna restart in 10th, and Jonathan Cogswell, just behind him, is gonna restart in 11th. Both of those drivers were up in the forefront of that big wreck off of turn 4 that then culminated down the front straightaway. Neither one of those drivers, when they came to pit road, took on a fast repair. Both made manual repairs, so we'll see how up to speed they are, making a play here for track position late to try and get themselves some valuable stage points.
And sometimes one of the things you can do is, with Indianapolis, there's an opportunity to pit twice under the caution. Sometimes you come down the first lap, you take a look at the car, and you go, ooh, yeah, we absolutely want to for a fast repair at that. And sometimes you come down and you go, hey, look, it's less than a minute worth of repairs. We got some time here under this caution. We can get that one fixed up. That's actually not going to be too bad. And you make the play based upon that. So realistically, they've had a look at their race cars and gone, there's a touch of damage, but it's not major. We want to hang on to that fast repair, keep it in the back pocket if we can.
It's going to be a 5-lap shootout here for the conclusion of stage 2. Started with Dobbs and Jackson there. And we're going to continue this battle, as looks like Dobbs going to edge out half a car length. Now clears as they enter into turn 1. Trey Whitehead looking to fill the hole. Ooh, those two might make up some contact again there through 1. Nearly did, as Trey Whitehead gets loose on the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Brandon Cooper to the outside, 1 week removed from his 3rd win of the season.
Yeah, so he's going to try and do that. And the big thing is, this is now critical for all of those stage points as well.
Look at this battle here. This is what you were talking about. This is the latter half of the top 10. Holland, Davies side by side. Hupka and McKenney. Cogswell in the conversation. There's Chris
Someone sliding, there's someone going around.
Oh, it's Trey Whitehead. Right in front of the field. Look out. Oh, they all avoid him, but a couple go spinning as a result. Scotty Stevens in the 2, Christopher Reese in the 62. And Whitehead, I believe, was in the 3rd position at the time.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was all about making sure that you could see. I could see the smoke coming through the short strip between 3 and 4.
I would assume this is our stage caution, or are we going to get back green?
Yeah, this is going to be a stage caution. It's going to be a stage caution.
So Alan Dobbs will pick up another stage victory, his 14th on the season, and he'll sweep the stages here tonight. Wow. Yeah, you could just see that back end come around. Little slight hit for Ryan Catalano, and then Oh, Chris Reese did get a piece of him there. Scotty Stevens avoided, but as he locked him up, his car went up towards the outside wall. There's that treacherous attenuator wall down there, but fortunately, the front straightaway, despite the wall being there, is somewhat spacious. We've had a couple of incidents off of turn 14 that could have been a lot worse. Easily could have had a driver T-boned, and haven't had that situation here with drivers having enough space to be able to split whether it's high or low of the race car that's out of shape.
Oh boy.
I mean, right here, you should have like 6, 7, 8 drivers collected up, just clobbering the 23 car.
Yeah, that's it. And everyone checking up, doing a great job. Make sure they dodge that one.
Take one more look at it here. And what would have been the case right there? Because I saw a number of drivers actually on that restart. The 19 was loose. I think I documented Trey Wright a little bit loose, or make that Whitehead a little bit loose there. It was just a case of the car being loose. Get those left sides maybe down there on the paint line. Like, there's a combination of stuff that happened right there for the 23, because we've already seen Scotty Stevens go around a couple of times by himself as well.
Well, see, Stevens tagged the grass, so there's a little bit more in that. And the other thing from Scotty is that he's already overheated those rear tires. The later on one from Scotty was really, really good. I think it might have been a downshift for him where he was still too high in the rev range, and that's locked the differential fractionally, and that's where the rear end of the car's gotten away from him on that second one. But for Trey, that's middle to exits, which means he's driving it hard off the rears, off the corner. That can start from the bottom. If you drive on the painted lines now are less grippy, so you want to be either side of that painted line. You want to be either right next to it, or you want to be right beyond it. If that sort of helps, you want to be below it, you want to be above it. Doesn't matter which, but you want to be one of the two.
They are getting boisterous in our YouTube chat here. The fan clubs have come out tonight. Got the usual Patrick McQuaid suspects, but now we got Matt Davies, who's got some shouts going on here. Peyton Holland, Dalton McKinney, Rylan Faccianato. Hey, we're getting down to the end of this regular season. Got to get all that support out there.
Everyone's starting to pick favorites.
That's
good
right.
to see. Good to see. That's what we want from our race fans. We want dedicated race fans.
Not
Big thing flipping the stage. Have a look at the top 4 cars at the moment.
Yeah.
Flipping the stage.
Looks like it's now the top 3. As I believe one of those cars just came to pit road. So Chris Roberge flips the stage like we saw him do at the conclusion of stage 1. He'll have 11 lap old tires. Scott Rankin with 5, Matthew Rodriguez with 4. Those were the drivers that flipped the stage from the last caution. Chris Roberge flipping it from 2 cautions ago. And then Alan Dobbs, who won the battle off of pit lane of those that pit at the conclusion of stage 2. He'll restart in 4th with Cogswell 5th, Noah Jackson 6th, Brandon Cooper, Brock Whitehead, Rylan Faccianato, and Tom Bourne going to complete the top 10. Halfway through this race, going to have 25 drivers still running, 24 of them on the lead lap. Only driver out of the race, Alex Heller, will be credited with 26th place here tonight. Are we still shooting for lap 75? Because we're going back green a little bit sooner than what we would have should we have finished this stage at the conclusion of lap 50. Do the extra laps play anything into the target lap now or no?
The other thing about this caution is that when we go back green, we're going to be fractionally before the stage. So we're going to be going back green with just that one extra lap, and that was critical to the fuel. I don't think the fuel save strategy is now potentially doable. If we get one more caution, it sort of throws everything cats amongst the pigeons anyway. So this one's going to be all about, I think, just going hard right now. As we've already seen, we're getting cautions, so fuel savings taken out of it.
It's going to be 51 laps to go when we get the green flag here. We're into our third and final stage of the night. Robert's great launch. He'll lead into turn number 1, leave him stacked up second place on back. Rodriguez on the bottom, Rankin on the top. Oh, and we're spinning. Saving it, I think, was Noah Jackson. Now he's going to get up into another car. Big hit for Brandon Cooper. Massive, massive pile up. Exiting out of turn number 1 and into the short chute of 2.
And look at the debris bouncing down the road as well.
A lot of big hitters, a lot of former winners involved in that one. Dalton McKinney's in it. There's Matt Davies on the right side of your screen. Brock Whitehead in the 71 was involved. Brandon Cooper's car is crunched. That thing went straight up full speed into the outside wall.
Yep. That is very, very bent car. It's going to be an engine swap. He's going to be very slow back to pit lane.
Massive, massive wreck that took place right up towards the front of the field. It started with Noah Jackson. Saw him just at the tail end of our live feed. Saw him around. Thought he was going to save it, which he did. I think he then slides up into Brock Whitehead. That's Rylan Faccianato that gets him. He's trying to save it up into Whitehead, and look at that hit right there for the 54. He's going to clip the 32 and the 46. I believe Matt Metler gets spun down to the inside wall as well, so at least a half dozen drivers collected up in this one. Take a look at this hit for Brandon Cooper in the 54. Gets into the grass. Davies and McKinney might be okay. Well, then Brandon Cooper gets into the both of them there, so not sure now about that contact with the left rear on the 32 car. That was a big hit. Let's go on board with the 54 of Brandon Cooper.
Yeah.
Just going into 1. Just listen to this impact.
You can see the smoke. So he's checking for it. He's checking for it. He's getting through. Touches the grass.
Man.
That's that grass on the inside. And he actually said Brandon Cooper with the secondary contact there, he couldn't see.
I was going to say,
And what can sometimes happen, that hood was up. And the way that the physics work is it's calculated uniquely with the damage on each individual driver. So if that hood's still attached on our screen, it might not have been up. It may have been up for him. But yeah, so he couldn't see.
I was going to say, too, he may not have been able to turn the race car.
It looks like it's drivable.
What happened with Matt Metler. Oh, he's going to make some contact there with the tires. Couldn't tell exactly who it was he got into the back of there as he spun it around, but contact nonetheless with the left front on his Chevrolet. So at least 5-6 drivers collected up in this one, including a number of former winners on the season. Noah Jackson with 2 victories here this year, and Brandon Cooper now with 3. Some pretty significant contact for both of those machines. We documented Matt Davies trying to fight to hang on to that final playoff spot. Dalton McKinney pretty well safe to make it in on points, as he's hovering around the 8th to 9th seed, 5th overall in the standings coming into this one. Looks like, surprisingly, for everybody involved, they've all come to pit road. They've made damage repair. They may still have to continue to make damage repair on those machines, but they all have been at least been able to continue.
Everyone's out there and on the lead lap now as well. Well, barring Alex Sella, who's there on the retirement so far.
All right, so it looks like, just going down the list here, Ryan Catalano, Larry Bell, Brian Zimmerman, Tanner Marr, Brock Whitehead, Noah Jackson, Jeffrey Kleinsma, Brandon Cooper, Chris Reese have all, at this point in time, also add in Matt Metler, have all used a faster pair. So a number of the drivers collected up in that big wreck, including the 20, the 71, and the 54, should be up to full song here with the utilization of the faster pair. The big thing for them is they've lost a ton of track position. They're going to be restarting now back outside of the top 15 when all three of them restarted on the last restart up inside of the top 10.
Yeah, but they're still out there and they're still racing, they're still scoring points. So, you know, take that how you will. And that's the point of the faster pair as well, is to make it accessible, keep people racing. You and I talked about it in IndyCar as well. In IndyCars, you can get damage done with the lightest of contact sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So IndyCars, it's actually a tool to enable the drivers to go race a fair bit harder as well. It just makes the racing better in IndyCar because you can be a little bit more aggressive and you're not just punished immediately for it. But stock car racing, different thing. Bodied cars, shells, stuff that you can work on, stuff that you can buff out, stuff that you can repair. Take out of it what you will, but it's a tool in racing.
As you said, all 25 drivers still running are now on the lead lap. And Chris Roberge is ready to get us back under green, more than halfway through this race now. Scott Rankin will line up to his outside with Matthew Rodriguez and Alan Dobbs, the first two rows. Another great launch for Roberge. Immediately pulls up there to that outside line to get that nice arc into turn one. Side by side for second. Dobbs going to clear for fourth across the nose of Jonathan Cogswell. Rankin will swing to the outside of Rodriguez to move into P2.
This will be an interesting one. So this is the difference of 6 laps on the tires. I think there's only about 2 laps worth of green flag racing in the middle of that, so that we start to get an opportunity.
We're going to have a wreck in the back. Matt Metler just got spun around. Caution's out as Metler slightly noses it into the inside wall. I'll bring out our 8th caution of the evening. It's been a tough night for Matt Metler. And we'll take a look and see what happened to him this time on the back straightaway. I think they might have been 3 wide. Trying the outside line there against Dalton McKenney. McKenney trying to come up in side draft. Brandon Cooper gets clipped in the right rear quarter panel as well as he goes around.
Yeah, that's racing. Restarts and everything is critical at the moment. I'm very, very curious about what we can do and what green flag pit stops look like. By the way, everyone that pit and flip the stage is now good on fuel. Oh. Brandon Cooper will have nothing left. So that damage he's going to have to pluck away at. And right front corner is very, very important.
Yeah, I think back to, what was it, Michigan, I think, where we saw Noah Jackson go to victory lane. We talked to him about a point in the race where he had damage on the nose, and he was like, oh, is that what it was? I was trying to figure out why I couldn't get straight line speed. To your point with using the faster pair there and that damage on the front end for Brandon Cooper, unless they can get that kind of buffered out, it's going to be pretty tough sledding for him to find some good, consistent straight line speed.
Yeah, damage on these races, particularly at this track and the aero package that we're running here, it's very, very important. We're actually having some discussions in race about medicine at the moment.
About medicine?
Yeah, focus. There's a lot of discussion about how poor my reaction times are on restarts, and I gotta be honest, they're right on the money at the moment. You know what? I haven't had my coffee for the day. That's what the issue is.
The only question that I ever needed answered, and it got answered, was concerning medicine, was if a spoonful of sugar helped it go down, which the answer is yes.
Honey and ice cream are my go-tos.
Ice cream, really?
Yeah, you put in an ice cream. If you have a pet that won't take a tablet, put in an ice cream. I don't know a pet that will reject ice cream.
Interesting. Because I know we've got a dog that's stubborn. There's 2 different pills he has to take. He'll take the first one gladly. He doesn't want the second one. So we have to kind of coax him. You don't get this one if you don't eat this one. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Might have to try that ice cream method.
Just a little bit of ice cream. Doesn't need much. I mean, it's twofold, right? Because you've got the cold and you've got the sweet.
Right. Interesting. Who needs good RX when you got Scott Rankin here?
Fun fact, my girlfriend at the moment's a vet, so I've been getting tips and tricks and bits and pieces from her.
Looks like we're going to have a couple laps of pacing here still. Lights still on top the pace car.
Should be on green this next time.
So as you said, that this caution now gets us to that lap 75 window. Does it put us right on that number, or has it extended it maybe a little further for drivers?
It extends it a fair bit further for the drivers that pit, but the critical part is the guys. Remember, we're talking big time about the guys that hadn't actually pit and had stayed out and flipped the stage. So I can tell you right now, I got 9.5 gallons worth of fuel. It's tracking me for about 18.2 laps worth of gas. Now, if I get to the front, and I got clear around the nose, that will change, that will go down, that will go away from me. But when we go back green at the end of this lap, I should be good on fuel to get to 75. From there, there'll be a little bit of saving to connect the dots to get home. But that's gotten me out of a fuel hole where I'd have to stop twice.
Another thing we haven't talked about here, and we've talked about it in a lot of the racetracks here the last couple of weeks, has been, you know, you touched on it, the benefit of the undercut, but on the flip side of that is if you come to pit road just a lap too soon and the caution comes out, guess what? When you come to pit road and everybody else, or when you stay out and everybody else comes to pit road, then they're going to have a slight tire advantage on you. You may end up actually losing some track position as well. Maybe not necessarily lose a lap like you would at other racetracks. So is there a risk? Is there a gamble? More so here at a track like Indianapolis of the short pit, or with the fact it's as big as it is, there's a little bit more wiggle room?
There's a little bit more wiggle room because staying on the lead lap is critical. But you got to go hard on those caution laps to catch the field as well. Is the big thing, and make sure that you get there. But yeah, look, if you're the first car to pit lane, you will get track position. That is the biggest benefit. Even under caution, if you stay out, you're going to get that track position come your way. But you're right, there will be a tire offset. There will be some benefit that goes in the opposite direction. But if you can hold it off, and look, I've got to be honest, I think cars can hold it off.
If we go green to the end, it's going to make things very, very interesting in terms of pit strategy. Here we go. Green flag set to fly once again. We'll have 44 laps left here at Indianapolis. Bears with another great launch. Dobbs going to cross him over to the inside going into 1 as he got clear on that outside line as well. Tight on the bottom. Robert's going to hang on, at least for the moment, through the short chute.
He's got it. Now it'll be what can Dobbs do to him. He'll read him, he'll watch him. Let's see what he can do.
Restarts have been crazy here tonight. We've talked about the importance of track position, and when everybody's bunched up here on these starts and restarts, that's when you try and capitalize on something like that before the field starts getting spread out. Now it looks like we're starting to get into that spread out situation amongst the top 10. Tom Bourne with a moment there off of 4. Same for Cogswell. Cooper's clobbered the wall back there off of the final corner as drivers struggle for grip down the front straightaway.
You gotta remember how flat this track is and how little support there is in the banking. And that does help and hinder at different points. That's why this racetrack's so unique, is because of the flatness of it.
Trey Whitehead back there trying to work his way back forward. That's for 9th position on Jonathan Cogswell. Brian Zimmerman right behind him. Zimmerman clobbered the wall nose first off of turn 4 earlier on this evening in that Texaco Haviland machine. Scotty Stevens slow.
Going around again.
No caution, as he'll bring that machine to pit road. Will stay green. Unscheduled pit stop for Stevens, who's had a less than fruitful night, as he's been around a couple of times here this evening at Indianapolis. Whoa, Tom Bourne! Either that car got loose or he just lost the nose, because that thing was headed up the racetrack and he was somehow able to gather it back up.
That he was not 100% certain that he's gotten to the point of things. Remember, he's been quick early in these stints and then fades, but he's playing for room on the racetrack right now.
Rylan Faccianato saw him have a moment through the short shoot of 3 and 4 as we're on board with him, currently holding down the 6th position. Rylan coming into this race 74 points out of the final playoff spot. A good run tonight could put him back in the conversation with 3 races still left to go here in the regular season.
He'd love a great finish tonight. He's sitting in a good spot as well. He's just managing his race, running pretty reasonable. So he's got to keep an eye on that. Make sure that, you know, again, if he's got a race car at the back end of this race that's not good enough for a top 5, make sure that he locks down whatever he can. If he chases things too hard, that's where he's going to be in trouble.
I want to see if he does it again here on the front straightaway, but he was almost on the chip in 4th gear before he upshifted to 5th here last time on the back straightaway. At that time, right about where he needed to shift up, and he stayed in 4th gear. It seemed like maybe a second longer than one would have expected before the upshift on the back straightaway the last time around.
Yeah, running all the way up. Sometimes there is a benefit to that.
He's got a front row seat of the battle going up just ahead. That's where Alan Dobbs, Scott Rankin, Tom Bourne, Matthew Rodriguez duking it out for the 2nd position. All going on behind Chris Roberts, who's enjoying that clean air. Keep an eye on the top left of our ticker, the lap counter there. Around lap 75, we might start seeing some moves to pit road, about 12 laps out from that point in time. Who would be some of those ones that make that early dive? It'd probably be the quartet that stayed out at the conclusion of the 2nd stage, including race leader Roberts, Rankin, Rodriguez, and Faccianato. Currently all running up inside of the top 6. Oh, Faccianato around! Can he save it? No! He and Catalano are going to go around. Catalano is the one that spins right in front of traffic, parks it there in the middle groove of the entrance of turn 4, and the caution is going to wave. Ninth caution of the evening. See that one culminating there as Catalano closed up a great bit of distance on Faccianato going into the corner. Got the left rear, could not stay off of it. Faccianato was trying to gather it back up. The two make further contact, and eventually the 92 spins. Here's a look again. And I'm not sure if it was a case of that Faccianato had to breathe the throttle on the entry, or if Catalano with the fresher tires just was able to get back to the throttle sooner.
Probably a little bit of both. A little bit of both. He definitely chased it into the corner quite hard. But is what it is. And this is just reading the race situation. and reading where you are. The big thing will be the onboard shot from Catalano of how close was he at the entry of the corner. Did he make the corner? Look how out of shape he is. But the big thing for Faccianato is he's up the racetrack. So he's going to try and get the car to turn. So definitely there was some pace differential. Faccianato carried pace in. Catalano did not. They responded in the middle of the corner and changed things around. This will be an interesting window in terms of fuel. Just watch right here. This will tell you the story. So again, he's loose, but he's wrapped the bottom. Faccianato is still trying to get it back down there. He got back to the gas, though. You can't do that.
Battle gone wrong for what was 7th place at the time. Both cars making some pretty good contact. Faccianato got up and into the outside wall nose first. We documented he's looking for a good run here tonight, trying to get up there mathematically into the eligibility for a playoff spot to, if anything, point his way up into one of the 16 available spots in the postseason. And now, with this damage, looks like he is going to be back at least in the 12th position right now, as he did come down pit road. May have taken on a faster pair. We'll double check on that. Yes, confirmation he did take on a faster pair, so he'll restart up inside of the top 15 here in P12. We did have a couple of other drivers that have retired out of the race. Alex Heller was the first one. Scotty Stevens, we saw, have the moment that didn't bring out a yellow, but he came to pit road, and he's made the left-hand turn to the garage. He'll finish 25th. Tanner Marth has also gone to the garage area 4 laps ago. He'll finish in 24th place. We'll wait to see if our remaining 23 drivers will be on the lead lap. It looks like the answer will be yes, as both Cooper and Catalano finishing up their pit stops here as the leaders get ready to make their way through 3 and 4.
And this will be an interesting one. See where the restart's going to come from. Burge wants the top again. Look, I got to be honest, he's going to make good restarts no matter which lane he launches from. But like getting away on the front row is so difficult, because in the front row, you've got to match, you've got to maintain with the car that's alongside of you. What happens in the rows just in behind the front row guys is they can roll into that restart just a little bit. And what happens is the guys behind, we're starting at the bottom of second gear too, so you want the engine spooled up. So the guys are maybe 2-3 mile an hour faster rolling into the restart zone in behind them. It's not much, but it is a huge jump. Those guys do get much better restarts.
Only thing I could think of for Roberge in wanting that top line is one of two scenarios. If you clear the car on the bottom, great, you've got that nice arc into the corner. But if you don't clear them, then at least you're not being pinched down on the inside line. And we've seen a lot of drivers, when they get pinched down there on the bottom, car loses the nose and pushes up the racetrack. So at least you have a little bit more maybe of a fighting chance of getting back to the throttle through the center of the corner if you're up in the second groove.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit of it. Just, you want the inside lane, though. If I'm given the option, I can clear cars on the inside heading into turn 1. So even if the car's only got a quarter of a car length alongside of you, you enter turn 1, you can clear, you then control it from there. And you actually want the car right behind you, right underneath your rear spoiler heading into turn 2. And the reason for that is the closer they are, the less downforce they get on their front. So it actually protects you a fair bit more and causes more chaos behind, which is exactly what Roberge wants. But the thing for Roberge is he pit 6 laps before I did. I've got maybe 11 laps worth of gas. I can make it to the critical lap number here. There's a lot of guys who can't. Chris Roberge can't. There's a bunch of guys who just pit. They haven't eliminated a stop, but what they have done is made that final fill really small.
That would be 9th place on back on your scoring pylon that have just come to pit road from Jeffrey Kleinsma on down. The case of Chris Roberge had 41 laps led coming into tonight, trying to make a play for a playoff spot as he came into tonight. Total of 53 points out of that 16th playoff position as green flag in the air. Another good launch for that Monster Energy Chevrolet. Can he clear the inside line by turn 1? No, he cannot. Dobbs is going to drive it in deep, stay on his door as they exit out of the short chute for turn 2.
And this is where the old tires are starting to wear off. There's not much you can really do from that one. So again, that's why I would have been picking the bottom, is because you can just control the restart, get all the way to the bottom, you control the lane. You're right about getting pinched, you lose a little bit of momentum, but you just want that priority lane.
Needs to get single filed out pretty quickly here on this lap. Stacked up now for the 4th position. Rodriguez with a look on Rankin, who gets a little wide there towards the outside wall. Somebody, I think, brushed the wall further back there. Might have been Brian Zimmerman in the 28. Fanning out double and 3 wide there around Cogswell, Faccianato. Brock Whitehead's back in that conversation as well. That all going on outside the top 10 from 12th place on back.
Planning your corners right now, Seth, is crucial. Where are you going to get the run? What are you going to do with the air? Have a look at these guys. They're still too wide back down there. Faccianato's in it. Dalton McKenney's in it. Get single file if you can, because you will hold momentum. You'll be able to pick these guys off.
Back in this area of the pack, I think this is where you see kind of the desperation kicking in here.
Yeah.
33 laps to go. One more pit stop remaining. You want the track position to be in your favor here, and you got to make it happen yourself, because obviously with the restart, it's about the closest you're going to be to everybody if we go green to the end. After that, things are going to start spreading out, and you're going to be racing one car here, one car there. You're trying to get a clump of track position while the opportunity is there.
That's it. That's the big part.
Oh, we're 3 back here. We're making contact.
No way.
Christopher Reese, Ryan Catalano were banging doors, rubbing fenders. We've somehow got that all sorted out, and now I believe the entire field have got themselves all single file. Now we're racing for pit road. Old tires going away on
Burge just got the fence.
Yep. Brushes that with the right rear. Off of turn 4, clip that safer barrier a bit. Trey Whitehead back there, bottom to top, looking on Matt Metler. That's for 8th. Jeffrey Kleinsman in that conversation. Remember, he had an adventure down pit road, clobbered the right rear of the car into that attenuator wall. He's back up here inside of the top 10.
Great job by him driving his way back through the field. Obviously, there's some issues and stuff happening. I think Roberge hung on to the fuel maybe a touch too long. I was actually just thinking to myself, get some fresh rubber, get some fuel, put himself in a strategy advantage position at some point. I think he hung out a little bit too long, because he's not going to make the critical lap number. And that's the big problem.
So is this more so him trying to save to get to that target lap than the tires going away?
Yeah, perhaps. But for him, he's in that hole. He's really got to save fuel. And the problem is he led a lot of laps in that period as well. So
True.
His fuel number is even worse. So
Oh, tight there off of 2. Contact
great,
made.
here we go.
Brock Whitehead, Dalton McKenney got together. Both were able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but that could have very easily been both those drivers spun off the second corner. Still side by side there. Cogswell way up the racetrack in the entrance of 3. And remember too, these are all drivers that came to pit road under this last caution. A number of them have fresh rubber, and they're trying to put it to good use here.
Just think those pit stops, they're common, Seth. 5 laps. 5 laps, and we're going to have to start seeing that. I think Roberge should probably be in any time from now.
The battle for that final 16th playoff spot. It's been close all night long. It continues to run close. Hubka 17th, Matt Davies 19th. Those two were separated by 3 points coming into this evening. Neither got points in stage 1. I'm not 100% certain. The running order kept kind of fluctuating as we approached that stage-ending caution. It showed Hubka in 10th, it showed him 11th. I'm not sure if he actually did get a stage point or not. I do know that Matt Davies didn't, so if Hubka didn't get a stage point in stage 2, it would still be 3-point separation. If he did get a stage point, though, that would close the gap up a little bit. And to your point, Robert's just hit pit road.
Yeah, he actually went a lot further than I thought he could. He's done a great job to get those few extra laps with the gas out of that. So he's done a great job right there. Starting to see some separation in the pack, too. Right, Alan Dobbs got the lead at the moment. But I think he's set on that one. The next 3 cars, you're going to see him behind him are due in pit lane in a couple laps' time. So they cannot run much further.
And if you're Alan Dobbs, does having those 3 cars behind that you know are going to be coming to pit road soon, do you maybe plan accordingly, come to pit road the same lap that they do, so that way it takes away their tire advantage? Catalano around on the turn 4 exit, just clobbered the inside wall. Trying to lift that thing onto pit road entry, which he will do. That entire left front fender is gone. Green flag remains out on the racetrack, however.
Yeah, well, he was one of the last cars in the queue, and he was right on the pit lane entry, so no cars behind him to trigger the yellow flag. Gave him some time to sort of handle it, which he has, but he'll also be done for the day as a result of that one. Chris Roberge's pit stop came out 1 lap down just.
Take a quick look at what happens here with Catalano on the inside of Matt Davies. Little contact made. Oh, just nowhere but the safer barrier down there for that 92 to go based on the projection. And fortunately, that wasn't just a couple 100 feet further up. Otherwise, he would have not been able to get onto pit lane there. Would have had to either drive it all the way back around or would have had to call for a tow to get back to pit road. And also, fortunately, we stay green. Which again kind of brings me into the question here. If you're Dobbs, do you have a target number and you're sticking to it? Or are you trying to come to pit road the same lap as all these other drivers so that way it takes away their tire advantage?
No, there's no way I'd be coming. We've seen too many cautions. Is my concern. I'd be staying out.
There is that 9 of Chris Roberge. Currently a lap down. Drivers on pit road there. Matthew Rodriguez, Christian Ruse making their final pit stops of the evening. You mentioned about the positioning of the cone as opposed to Indy cars to stock cars. This is the final pit stop. This is where execution has to take place. Most drivers have not made a green flag pit stop here tonight. You got to be aware of that commitment cone is, where the pit road speed begins. Because if you end up getting caught speeding on pit road here on this one, your race is essentially over.
Yeah. So that's what this target's all about. And it's old tires. We haven't done any green flag pit stops. This is the only one we've done so far tonight. And you can hear me how difficult it is. Actually made pit lane speed limit not too bad. Tom's going to come with me. I'm going to have draft here, which is good. That's exactly what I wanted. Keep an eye on Matthew Rodriguez. Where does he rejoin? I think he's going to rejoin on the lead lap just.
Cooper coming in this lap as well. There's Rodriguez exiting the access road onto the back straightaway. Dobbs is going to get by Christian Ruse, but it'll be about half a straightaway up to Matthew Rodriguez. And now in the case for Alan Dobbs, how far do you go? 29 laps so far on these tires, but granted we've had a couple of cautions in between as well to be able to save some fuel. Well, there's the answer. He's coming in right here, right now.
Yeah, he didn't want to let Tom Bourne get any time. But he was a lot further on fuel as well. Who nailed the pit stop, who didn't?
Well. First time
Bunch of them coming in.
Who is?
Bunch of those guys coming in, and that's critical. That's right up at the point. Matthew Rodriguez made huge gains on pit lane. Huge gains.
I'm not sure he took 4 tires.
Well, that would be the gain he made then.
Yeah, I'm saying most drivers between 14.5 to 15 seconds on pit road, 11.7 for Matthew Rodriguez. First time tonight, Trey Whitehead has been out in front in the blue Buffalo Toyota Camry. And he'll continue to lead here for the time being. Only 13 laps on his tires, so he can run a little bit longer. Same for Brock Whitehead, Dalton McKinney, Matt Mettler. Good battle for the current 3rd position. And Jeffrey Kleinsma right behind them in 5th. Looking at the cycle there of the drivers that have pit: Rodriguez, Dobbs, Bourne, Rankin, Jackson. That's how they currently run, and more than likely that would cycle around to our eventual top 5 once these drivers come to pit road, barring any untimely caution coming out.
Tom Bourne and Alan Dobbs are going at each other at the moment. Remember, they're behind who will effectively be the race leader in Matthew Rodriguez.
So now the only concern I would have about the 10 car is, did they get it full of fuel? Did they get it full of fuel enough to be able to make it the rest of the way? I would assume being 11.7, they waited on fuel. Otherwise, he would have had a quicker pit stop with a 2-tire stop.
Yeah, I'd say he should be fine. We took 7/10 out of him on that last lap. So his job now will be try and just feed Dobbs dirty air until Dobbs' tire falls off. Matt Mettler! No, right, 31 car.
Yep.
It is Mettler.
That was off of 4. I don't know if he spun trying to come to pit road, if there was contact made. We avoid the caution once again. Let's see what happened with him. We document he was battling at the time for 3rd place with Dalton McKinney, and just coming off the final turn. Yeah, looks like he was coming to pit road, and locks him up here under braking. Slides across the commitment line there, and then facing 90 degrees the wrong way, has to get the thing turned around. So he was trying to actually make a green flag pit stop and just overcooked it. Dalton McKinney coming in as well. That would have been from 3rd place.
This is critical. Everyone's now sort of in that window. And remember, you can make it home from where we were.
So how much further can Trey Whitehead, Brock Whitehead, Jeffrey Kleinsma go? About 16 laps here into this run for these drivers.
Maybe another 10 laps. There's a lot of these guys that put a lot of fuel in the car, and they've come down into multiple cautions. So they're in a reasonably good situation. For now. But, I mean, they can short fill as well. Their lap times are not horrible too, those guys that recently came to pit lane on a couple of those cautions. So they're actually not too bad in terms of where they're sitting.
So looking at the total amount of time that a driver on average of those that have pitted spend on pit road, we're talking somewhere in the 48 to 50 second range. The gap from race leader Trey Whitehead back to Matthew Rodriguez, who is the first one that has left pit road and can make it on fuel, is about 42 seconds. So if the calculations are correct and Trey Whitehead makes an absolutely perfect stop, even if he goes with maybe just a 2-tire strategy and just enough fuel to get to the conclusion, he's going to come out of pit road maybe about a second and a half behind Matthew Rodriguez.
Yeah, and that's if he nails a 2-tire stop. And he'll be running long here, he'll be goal hanging. Trying to get a caution that goes his way. That would be his plan. And it's the right plan for the situation those guys are into.
Brock Whitehead right now in the 2nd position. See some cars up ahead of him that are battling actually for position but a lap down. Dalton McKinney getting by Brandon Cooper. Jeffrey Kleinsma right now in the 3rd spot.
I think we're still seeing some cars cycling. I just heard Facinato's coming in the pit lane this time.
There he is in that 25, battling with 28 of Brian Zimmerman. We'll see if indeed that Bass Pro Shops Tracker Chevrolet comes down. Indeed, there he is. Racy back here, Matt Davies, Larry Bell, Chris Reese, 9th, 10th, 11th place. Those drivers still going to have to come to pit road. Patrick McQuaid soldiering on right now in the 5th position. He's still going to have to come to pit road. Might be the first time in a long time we'll see the 77 finishing outside of the top 10. Got involved in that big wreck off of turn 4, but surprisingly, I believe, let me just double check on this too. Yeah, he's one of the few drivers involved in an incident tonight that has not taken on a faster pair. I don't know if maybe he's planning on waiting until this final pit stop to do so, but he's for the most part here tonight. About the highest he's run has been around 13th to 15th place.
I'll tell you what, there is some snaking going on. It is all on for the leader of cars who have made that first pit stop.
12th position, but eventually going to be the race lead as Dobbs really wide there. Off of 3 with that dirty air. It's going to allow Tom Bourne to maybe close up in what will eventually be for 2nd place here. There's that snaking you're talking about. Bottom to top to bottom to top, just trying to do anything to break that slipstream.
And remember, this is old tires versus new. This is 2 tires versus 4. And Dobbs just can't build the run off the exit. That's the issue he's having right now. He's close, but the dirty air just shuts down his front axle.
Again, the 11 drivers
Oh, he
in
got
front of
him!
this battle.
Did he get him?
Not quite. Oh, he's going to have a nice exit here. 11 cars in front of this battle all still have to come to pit road. This is the battle essentially for the race lead as Dobbs send it there in the middle groove through turn 1. Rodriguez gets a nice point off of the corner through the short chute. He'll open up some distance here, and now company on the back door if you're Dobbs in the form of Tom Bourne.
Gonna become a 4-way battle here in a sec too. You can just see it. He's just rattling him a little bit. Dobbs just can't find the way. He's not had to do much overtaking tonight, Alan Dobbs. Not had to do a huge deal of it.
Out in front
Particularly
for a good
when the
portion
car
of this
ahead-
race. Swept the 2 stages here tonight.
Well, the big thing is, he's battling a car for the first time that has clear air. Every other battle he's been involved in here tonight, car has not had clean air to the nose.
Tom Bourne into the wall there off of turn 4. 3 seconds back there to Noah Jackson, who eventually should cycle to 5th place. But again, we're still waiting on a bunch of drivers to come to pit road. We're watching this battle that will eventually be for the
we got
lead.
him.
Moves up out of the way. There does Dobbs. Rodriguez brushes the wall off of turn 2, and Dobbs will move by for 12th. Eventually, that would be for the race lead.
What has that done to his race car? What has he done to his tires?
Stuck his nose in there. Rodriguez went to block. Neither one were going to give an inch.
He's high. Dobbs got real high off the 4 just then, too.
Fortunately, in that situation, neither driver fully went around or wrecked, both continuing on still. Bunch of drivers were probably hoping that would be a caution. Would have shaken this up. In terms of the final run to the finish, as we close in on 10 to go, Trey Whitehead continues to lead. There's a couple of drivers that have been able to make their way around him with their fresher tires. Roberge, Dalton McKinney back on the lead lap. Faccianato looking to do the same. And Brandon Cooper, 3-time winner on the season, just moments ago, he came to pit road. His night is over. He'll finish 22nd. Still has those 3 victories to get into the playoffs. But not the night he was looking for, 1 week removed from going to victory lane at Charlotte.
Trey Whitehead is coming. Pit lane. Zimmerman's going to come with him.
This is going to be
I think they're all running out
to go. Let's see what the strategy is going to be here for the race leader in the 23. Do we go with 2 tires? Do we take 4? Rodriguez is on pit road after getting the wall from 4th place. Well, what would eventually have been 4th place. Kleinsma's in, Zimmerman, McQuaid, Hubka, Holland, and Davies, all to pit road. Brock Whitehead, Jonathan Cogswell, and Larry Bell gonna try and run a little bit longer. We'll follow the 23 to his stall. Maybe a little bit of an overshoot. Looked like he had to back it up a tiny bit. Right side tires, do they go around and get lefts? No. 2-tire pit stop, get enough fuel to get him to the finish. We'll see where this cycles Trey around 2.
Well, the big thing is he stayed out for a very, very long time on those tires before he came to pit lane. And that says to me that there was enough of an undercut, sorry. It should be relatively clean and easy.
Oh, Cogswell locks him up trying to get to pit road. Right in front of Larry Bell. Is that going to bring out a yellow?
No, no yellow, no yellow. It stayed green.
Yes, we are. Bell down onto pit lane as well. Those were the last drivers we needed to pit. And this is where the race lead is going to cycle around to, with all those drivers finally to pit road for their conclusion of trips to pit lane. It looks like it's going to be a 4-car battle. That's the 23 of Trey Whitehead right there in the 3rd position. 2-tire strategy. We saw him run long. Brock Whitehead there leaving pit road. Battle right now looks like it's for 2nd place. Dobbs with about roughly a 7 to 8 car length advantage down the back straightaway. Tom Bourne trying to close up there on 2nd and 3rd. Whitehead, make it Brock Whitehead's going to cycle to 5th, at least for the time being. He also went with a 2-tire strategy. So did Jeffrey Kleinsma. So did Brian Zimmerman. They're all up inside the top 10 right now. Coming to 9 laps to go at Indy.
And it took Matt Rodriguez a few laps before his tires did actually switch off. So he was reasonable on pace for a good while.
Jonathan Cogswell may have gotten pegged for speeding there. Maybe unsafe entry as we saw him go around at the pit road start. He's going to be a lap down here as he had just left pit road as the leaders were thundering their way by pit road exit. Instead of staying on pit road for Patrick McQuaid as well. Don't know if that was a speeding penalty for the 77 or not, or if that was more damage repair on his Chevrolet. There he is, top of your screen. Majorly spread out here. Dobbs with about 0.4 of a second back to a 2-car battle for 2nd. Another 0.9 of a second back to a potential battle for 4th as Brock Whitehead looks to close up the distance on Tom Bourne.
Lap traffic's going to be on the way here as well, which is going to be interesting to keep an eye on, because that will be dirty air.
Looking ahead here from Dobbs to that lap traffic. If I'm not mistaken, is that the 10?
That is the 10.
Saw those two trade a little bit of paint when Dobbs made his way around Rodriguez for what eventually was the race lead. Looks like Dobbs will get to the inside of Rodriguez here down the back straightaway. Gap going to close up a bit there from 1st back to 2nd. Rodriguez going to hang tough on that right rear quarter panel of Dobbs. And battle is on for the lead. Rankin with a look. Dobbs with the cover. Might have messed up his entry into one a little bit.
No!
Caution! Peyton Holland has gone around. Definitely has made contact with the left rear quarter panel. Looks like this might be just in the entry of turn 4. As he'll limp that Skittles Toyota. Well, I thought he was going to bring it to pit road, but he'll stay out onto the racetrack. Let's take a look and see what happened here as we were coming around to 5 laps to go. It's Matt Davies behind him, and Peyton just out of shape there going into 3, trying to save it, nowhere for Chris Reese to be able to go. And Holland up and into the outside safer barrier. Caution going to wave for the 10th time here tonight. 8th caution for cause. We should potentially get ourselves a restart within regulation. We'll have to see. If not, then we might be going into overtime.
I think we should be okay.
We do have 3 green-white checkers at our disposal should we need them. I'll have to see. Is this going to be an in-regulation 2-lap shootout? Do we have enough laps under pacing where we're going to be doing a 1-lap shootout?
I think we should be 2.
Okay.
The thing is, if it would go to a green-white checker, so let's say we'd go green on the start of lap 100, it will extend it and place the green-white checker, so we'll finish on lap 101.
Okay. We'll keep an eye there on the top left, that ticker there. Patrick McQuaid going to get the lucky dog here under this caution, get back on the lead lap. 18 drivers will be on the lead lap here for at least our last restart in regulation, not necessarily our last restart of the night, as restarts have been hot and hairy here since we crossed the threshold into the second half of this race. And we got some takers, well, or do we? A couple of them. Tom Bourne, Christian Ruse, Chris Roberge, Chris Hubka. I believe that's Matt Davies back there as well, all coming to pit road. Majority of drivers going to stay out here, and a lot of varying strategies in terms of the tires. You've got Dobbs, Rankin, Jackson, 19 to 20 lap old tires. You've got Trey and Brock Whitehead, Jeffrey Kleinsma, Brian Zimmerman up here on only 7 lap old tires, but that's their right sides. They took 2 tires on their pit stops, much older left side tires on those machines. And I believe the highest running driver with 4 fresh tires that has the least amount of laps on their Goodyears would be Dalton McKenney, about a 4-lap advantage on some of the others in front of him. 16-lap old tires, going to restart in the 8th position.
Yeah, and that'll be a great opportunity for those guys with fresh tires on. We got 20 laps on these tires that we're on board with here, but I think the critical thing is going to be fuel. If we get another green-white checkers, fuel might be an issue. I'm good for 1. Don't know if I'm good for 2.
So gearing up for what should be a heck of a finish here tonight at Indy. Looking forward to next week, as it will be the music-themed race at the Nashville Super Speedway. Came into tonight, 4 races left here in the regular season. Going into next week, only 3 races will remain for drivers to make last-minute preparations for spots in the 2025 Grind Cup Series playoffs. Road America Daytona going to be the final 2 tracks to close things out. A reminder.
Carl's right.
Oh, go ahead.
So it's going to be a fun restart. We'll see how we go from here. Head down. This is going to be good fun one. We're going to have some good racing.
Matthew Rodriguez back down pit road again. A couple of laps down is the 10 car. Chris Reese, who was an innocent victim in this yellow flag on pit road. multiple laps down, at least 3 laps down at this point, as they continue to repair both the left and the right side of his Dark Horse Mustang. Reminder to everybody, we close out our coverage this week on FRN tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as drivers will be at the Talladega Super Speedway for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. First elimination race of the playoffs. 13 drivers started the journey, only 8 will move on. We ended up having Grant Wesley lock himself up a spot. Chuck McClure. I'm thinking of Monday night. Chuck McClure ended up getting the victory last Thursday to lock himself into the next round of the playoffs. 7 drivers will join him at the conclusion of tomorrow night's festivities. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on FRN. Be sure to join us for that one. Bracket Challenge wrapping up as well in that series.
He believes, Seth, we're only 3 weeks away from moving to the playoffs for this series as well.
I know, right? I remember looking at the schedule when we kicked it off at Daytona, and I was thinking, wow, that's a long schedule. Going to take us a while. Can't believe we're already here, literally in the home stretch of the regular season, nearing playoff season.
I can tell you, they're already talking about how do we make this bigger and better for next year as well. So there's a lot of discussion. This series ain't going away.
Been a lot of parity here. A lot of different drivers have gone to victory lane. We've seen a number of really good fuel strategy races, late race theatrics with late race restarts. Might get a little of both here depending on how this in regulation green-white checkered goes, as hopefully that's the last time we need the iRacing pace car. He makes the dive to pit road. Alan Dobbs looking for his season-leading 7th victory on the season. Has Scott Rankin for his 2nd to the outside. The Whiteheads make up row number 2. Green flag in the air. If they make it back to the white, we get to the checkered flag. If they don't make it back around, the caution comes out. We rack it up and go into overtime as we are fanning out double and 3 wide through 1. Still 3 wide here through the field. Reckon in the back. Kleinsma is up into Dalton McKenney. Multiple drivers involved. That's going to send us to overtime as the back straightaway is completely blockaded with race cars. Rodriguez, Mettler, Zimmerman, Hubka, Bell. That was Mettler, top of your screen, way back there.
Yeah, it's late race yellows, unfortunately. Everyone's got a lot to gain. Unfortunately, I think that might be Larry Bell's day done. I'm seeing him on pit road already.
Let's take a look at what happened. This was off the short chute into 2. Brock Whitehead in the middle, 3 wide. Kleinsma's up into him. Brian Zimmerman. Matt Mettler goes around. There's Larry Bell. Big hit back there. I believe that was Matt Mettler. Kleinsma down to the inside wall. There's Tom Bourne. He was collected up in it. Remember, he and a number of other drivers elected to come to pit road under this last caution. Back in the eye of the storm and unfortunately gets swept up in it. Yeah, Bourne got squeezed up into the wall by Matt Mettler. Oh, that was actually Brock Whitehead, who may have actually hit the tire barriers down there off the exit of turn 2. That car shot right back up the racetrack, hard into the outside wall.
Yeah, that's difficult to read because fairly confident Whitehead started right up at the point. Didn't get a great restart.
Oh, gosh!
Oh, boy! He just gets ejected.
Those tires are at a 45-degree angle, and he definitely hit them at a pretty high rate of speed. Let's see if we can get another camera angle of that. May not get the best look right here. Impact may already have been done. See if we can find something. Oh, this will be a good shot. Sweeping shot off of 2. See exactly where on the tires he ended up hitting. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, straight on. Just ejected.
To your point, Larry Bell in this incident, his day is done. Documented Christopher Reese was on pit road for multiple laps. They've pushed him back behind the wall. Garage area starting to fill up here late in this Indy race. 7 drivers currently in the garage area. Multiple drivers have been to pit road here in the last 20 to 25 laps for damage repair. Most recently, Brock Whitehead. I don't see how they're going to get that car back out here before the checkered flag waves. And as you can see, we are now in overtime here. 3 overtime green-white checkers. And just to follow up here, Scott, you said you're good for this one, but if we have
If there's
another
one, we
one,
gotta come. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Can't
that
say-
would put,
Unless it's immediate. If it's immediate, I'm okay.
and that would put Noah Jackson and Alan Dobbs in the same category as they came to pit road around the same time, same amount of time spent in their pit stall, so same amount of fuel in the race car. Dalton McKenney would be a question mark. Rylan Faccianato the same. Trey Whitehead, though, should, well, I was going to say should be good to go, but he was only in his stall for 10.5 seconds, so he could be also in the same category.
Fuel might be a question mark. Fuel might be a big question. That also explains how Trey actually gained a whole bunch of time as well, because I was wondering, I thought we should have blown his doors off. And we didn't do that, so.
He went with right side tires on his green flag pit stop. Rylan Faccianato, he was in his pit stall for 11.5 seconds. He's worse off than Whitehead. He's got 6 lap older tires than the 23. So if you're looking at drivers that this race could fall into their lap, if we end up having the second or even the third overtime green-white checkered, 7th place on back, Christian Roos, Matt Davies, Peyton Holland, Chris Roberge, they're all good to make it, but they don't have the track position. So lights are out. We'll do it again. Again, same situation. If the leader comes around, receives the white flag, next flag ends the race. But if we end up coming around and have a caution before the leader hits the start-finish line, we have 2 more green-white checkers at our disposal here.
Dalton McKenney's got some left front damage. So he's not going to clean race car. It'll be interesting to see how his car goes. Remember, he got bottled up in everything that was going on there, made some contact. I think the big thing about Indy with flat track, everyone's looking for an escape route. It's quite a narrow track. The groove is really, really narrow. Even though the race track at the apex of the corner is quite wide, you can't use it all. Remember we were talking about restarts earlier on tonight as well. How the guy that's on the outside, he can't just, the guy on the inside, the guy that controls the restart can roll into it, can build the RPMs, and he doesn't have to react. So there's a reaction time element, there's an RPM element, and just right where the restart zone is really, really bad to be in the off lane for the restart. And Dobbs has chosen the inside, so the off lane is going to be that outside lane. It was always going to be Trey Whitehead on the front row that was in the other lane, but it just mattered which lane it was. So
We always talk about Trey Whitehead. Sooner or later, he's going to get a victory. Could it happen tonight? He's second highest statistically in top 5s. He's got the most top 10s on the season. 4th in overall points, but still has a 0 in the win column. Alan Dobbs is the control car on the inside line. Here we go. First overtime, green-white checkered.
good restart this time, though. There was a little bit of games being played on that second row. Noah Jackson tried to run it in there, which is okay. That's what you're going to do when you're the second car in lane. Now, it's actually going to be Trey Whitehead who gets the nose out, gets the nose ahead.
Voigt's hitting the outside wall there off of 1. Can he stay to the right rear quarter panel here off of 2? No, he cannot. Dobbs clears for the spot. Jackson 3rd, Rankin 4th, Faccianato in 5th. They're 3, 4 wide, further back at the rear of the field. Can we get through 3 and 4 and back to the white flag?
That's going to take some bravery. It's going to take some assistance from those guys. Give and take at the back end of the field. Who's going to get a run? Because you've got to get a run off of this final corner.
Off of 4, Jackson into the wall from 3rd place. We got a wreck in the back. That's Brian Zimmerman, but it's the very rear of the field.
We got there.
White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go here at Indy. 5, 6 car breakaway. Trey Whitehead trying to close up the gap. 2.5, 3 car lengths right now. Dobbs has the fresher tires on the left side of his machine. He also has the clean air.
Yep. Does he bump him?
Can he get close enough to bump him?
No, I think the clean air is going to prevent him from being able to do that.
Through 3 and 4. Swept the stages earlier on tonight. He'll complete the overall sweep. His 7th trip to victory lane. First with his new team, Alan Dobbs is going to pick up the victory here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Whitehead will bring it home 2nd, Rankin in 3rd. The playoff points continue to be racked up for Alan Dobbs in preparation for the postseason. And the battle for that final playoff position with a repeat winner will continue to be interesting going into next week. Matt Davies brought it home 6th, Hupke in 10th. So about 7 points. 6 to 7 points will probably be the difference between those two going into next week's race at Nashville Superspeedway.
What a race, though. That was difficult. That was not an easy race to get done. Very, very tough from a driving perspective.
Alan Dobbs will burn it down here on the front straightaway. Takes the final of the Crown Jewel races here in 2025. He'll be kissing the yard of bricks here momentarily. First burnout in a Toyota Camry here in 2025 as he'll pick up the victory. We'll be talking with him down in victory lane here in just a few moments. Take a look at the finishing results as he parks it right there on the start-finish line. Stretches all the way into the infield, right underneath the pagoda and through into the center of the infield. I believe it stops somewhere around halfway to the road course section in the infield. As here is a look at your full finishing results here tonight. Gave you your top 3. Noah Jackson will bring it home in 4th. Rylan Faccianato, good run for him in 5th. Matt Davies builds a bit of a cushion between himself and Chris Hupke for that final playoff spot. Christian Ruse, good run in 7th. Chris Roberge played an alternative strategy, led a number of laps tonight doing so in 8th. And Patrick McQuaid, how about that? 9th place position for a driver that for most of this race had damage, was running outside of the top 10, pretty much in the top 15 for most of the evening, but just did not have that race speed that he needed. Had some damage and never took a faster pair on, manually repaired it for most of this one. Brings home solidly in 9th with Hupke right behind him there in 10th, keeping that battle for the final playoff spot very, very close. Peyton Holland, Jeffrey Kleinsma, Jonathan Cogswell, Matt Mettler, Dalton McKenney, they all had some adventures here tonight. Tom Bourne, last driver to finish on the lead lap. Saw Brian Zimmerman have a moment there off of 4, coming to the white flag. Didn't bring out the yellow, so he will finish a lap down in 17th. Matthew Rodriguez in 18th. Brock Whitehead in 19th. I believe he was the first driver to finish out of the race after his big impact in the tire barrier off of turn 2. Larry Bell in 20th. And the rest of these drivers also did not reach the conclusion, including some former winners in Chris Reese, Brandon Cooper, Tanner Marr, Ryan Catalano, Scotty Stevens, and Alex Heller also did not reach the conclusion, completing out the finishing results of our 26-car field here tonight. And that will now bring us into our FRN post-race wind-down. Time to dial up some drivers here and what happened with everything that occurred here in this 100 laps at Indianapolis. Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home 2nd place, Trey Whitehead. Hey Trey, it's the guys up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you. Hey, Scott, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to race you that hard, but that was crazy. That was fun.
And Trey, I mean, obviously, a lot of varying strategies in this one. We knew that the restarts were going to be crazy, but when you end up having a situation like we had right there, you've got drivers that are out there on old 4 tires. In your situation, you ran long there on that green flag run, come down pit road, and you go with 2 tires. I mean, we saw in the early portion of this race when the pit stops varied of drivers having some difficulty gauging what can I do with a driver in front of me when I have a tire advantage on him. It seemed like nobody up there, regardless of if it was a 2 or 4 tire stop on that final green flag pit stop, nobody really had an advantage on anybody. Clean air just seemed to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I mean, through the first 2 stages, I mean, obviously, I got third in the first stage, and I can't even remember second stage. I might have been pretty far back because I know I self-spun. But yeah, once we kind of pit a little early in stage 3, that way I could just, I set up the strategy where if it went green, I just had to do a splash and 2 tires. And once I got the lead after everybody pit, I mean, for 15 laps, my car felt like I was the fastest car on the racetrack. So yeah, clean air was definitely the key. And once I finally pit and got behind Scott, I couldn't pass him worth anything. I mean, I got super tight once I got behind him, and yeah, tires really didn't mean much. It seemed like it was all air. It was about 80-20 balance, air to tires. So it was pretty wild to figure that out. But I'm glad, it kind of worked out for me because I was running about 7th or 8th once I employed that strategy, and it worked out for us. Unfortunately, I just can't seem to find victory lane yet, but I think it's coming. So.
Hey
Scott?
Trey, good P2. I've gotta ask, if that went green all the way to the end, do you think that you could have beat us on tires?
I know I kind of got tight behind Scott with about 10 to go, I think, and fell back, but slowly worked my way back. And I knew that Scott was catching Allen, and it was just a matter of time before they started battling. And at that point, I was just gonna have to figure out what I was gonna be able to do. So I would say I was confident, but also scared because I would have had to make some kind of crazy move, like 3 wide into the corner, or back it up really far back and just send it on exit and try to see what happens. But I might have actually benefited from another caution because I know that Allen and a couple other guys were saying they were shorter on fuel and they didn't think they could do another green white checkered. So I kind of glad that didn't happen. I got a good restart there on the last one and tried to stay on Allen's outside. I don't know how he was a rocket ship out of 2 and cleared me. So, but if it went green, I mean, I think there was a chance, but I think my best chance was either sticking on Allen's outside on that restart right there, or having another yellow where I had plenty of fuel and Allen, and then would have had to pit. So it would have been fun to see for sure because I know I got pretty close once that last yellow or second to last yellow came out and. But yeah, I guess we'll never know. We'll have to find out.
I mean, you've definitely been up there in the top 5 statistically in terms of top 5s, top 10s. The consistency has certainly been here for the 23, and as you said, you've just been so close to closing out one of these victories. We've got Nashville Superspeedway, Road America, Daytona to close out this regular season. What's the confidence level with those trio of races on the horizon here of still seeing this 23 in victory lane before the playoffs begin?
Yeah, I mean, we're super confident. I think we've got either the second most top 5s or the most this season. And, we're just kind of on a roll. We had an off week last week at Charlotte, got caught up in an accident and kind of ruined our day there. But, I mean, we're feeling really good right now. Honestly, even without a win, we're pretty comfortable in the points. And, yeah, I mean, it's just going to have to – I think once playoff time comes, you're going to have to find victory lane at some point. But, we'll just keep rattling off these top 5s and top 3s like we're doing, and I think we'll be fine. So it's been a grind, and I missed the first 2 races of the season. I came in a little late, and just glad to see us in the points position that we are and finishing the way that we are and actually keeping the car pretty clean. I know I raced Scott kind of dirty on lap 37, but yeah, I just haven't been, my old self. I used to get into a lot of people and make a lot of mistakes, and glad to see that not happening, and it's turning into pretty good points days, so we'll keep it going.
Great run for you here tonight, bringing it home solidly on the podium in the second position this evening at the Brickyard. As mentioned, 3 races left here, looking to see if the consistency continues out of this 23 and maybe see in victory lane before we get to the conclusion of this regular season here. Trey, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, obviously shout out to Alan, new teammate over here at Whitehead Racing, for getting that win. If there's anything worse than not winning, it's winning because somebody lets you. And I told him, don't even, team owner or not, I don't want you to lay down, your speed and let me by. So it was a lot of fun to race him. The other teammates, Brock, Noah, Brandon. Obviously, you guys for doing the broadcast. I'll go back and watch this again. Oh, speaking of that, I don't know how I got through that one accident. I really want to go back and look at that because I thought they were going to wash down the racetrack. I went high and I ended up splitting the Red Sea going between those two. So that'd be cool to watch on the broadcast. Hubka for putting the league on, obviously, and everybody for racing pretty good. I mean, I thought that green flag run went really well. We had some cautions in stage 2 that kind of muddied it up a little bit, but that was a great race. And hope to see that going forward. So thank you guys.
Great race indeed. Trey Whitehead brings it home in the second position here tonight. Keeps himself in the top 5 in the overall point stands and continues to add to his top 5 streak here as well in the 2025 season. Congratulations on the great run here this evening. Best of luck next week at Nashville Superspeedway.
Yes, sir. See y'all then.
Let's go down to victory lane. 7th time this season that Alan Dobbs picks up a checkered flag. Tonight, it's at Indianapolis. Hey, Alan, it's the guys up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Well, hey, a new look, new manufacturer, new team, but hey, same driver, same results. Park it in victory lane for the 7th time here this season. Dominated here tonight in terms of sweeping the stages, closing it out with the victory as well, continuing to pad up those playoff points, but kind of had to work for it there in the closing stages. Seemed like clean air was your best friend to keep everyone at bay, though.
Yeah, I mean, if I did anything better than anyone else tonight, it's just that I had more clean air most of the time, and it's really hard to do anything when you're in dirty air.
We obviously ended up seeing things get interesting there with that final round of green flag pit stops, and we knew that 3 or 4 drivers behind you, they were going to have to come to pit road a little bit sooner. Did you have maybe a number in your head of when you wanted to make that final pit stop, and did you have to call an audible to come to pit road maybe a little sooner than you wanted to, just to make sure that they didn't get a tire advantage on you?
I came to pit 1 lap earlier than I really planned on. I was trying to just run the fuel out as far as I could, just to try to have a little extra for green white checkers, and I'm glad that I did because, well, we needed it. But yeah, I came 1 lap earlier when Tom pit because I think he was only like 9/10 of a second behind me, so I knew if I let him have too much time, he'd jump me.
So, Alan, we've got Trey's opinion on this, but I want to know yours. Where if that last run went green all the way to the end, do you think you could have held him off?
Probably not when you started side drafting me and pulling them back to me. I was probably pretty fucked at that point. If not for that, I think so. I feel like I was pretty good on the long run as far as keeping the tires under me. And I was really surprised. Like, I really felt like Trey was gonna just kind of dominate me on that last restart. He had like 11 lap better tires or something, and that dirty air is just so terrible. I mean, you can't really do much of anything with it.
Well, able to have that clean air to the nose, able to bring this thing home with the victory. One of the racetracks that everybody wants to win at, the history behind Indianapolis Motor Speedway, whether it's stock car racing, open wheel racing, just motorsports as a whole. You get to burn it down here. You get to kiss those yard of bricks here, and a couple of races still left here in the regular season to continue to build the playoff point dominance that you've had here during the course of the regular season. So best of luck on that. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here in just a moment, Alan. But before we do, we'll hand the mic over to you for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
First off, I'm just going to apologize to Matthew. I wasn't trying to get into him or wreck him. It was tight racing, and I was trying to make a move in dirty air. I hope he doesn't keep any hard feelings moving forward after tonight. But I'm sorry for getting into it. Past that, just always shout out to my beautiful wife, all the guys, Whitehead Racing, the admins, you guys for the broadcast, everybody for watching. Appreciate everybody.
It's Alan Dobbs brings it home with the race victory here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Look to carry this momentum into our final 3 races of the regular season in preparation for the playoffs here in the Grind Cup Series. Congratulations on the victory here tonight. Best of luck next week when we get to Nashville Super Speedway.
I appreciate it, buddy. Have a good one.
Alan Dobbs with his 7th victory on the season. Broadcast colleague Scott Rankin having to step away from Mike's side, and Matthew Rodriguez now, as you heard, steps into the booth there. First off, what is it you have about wanting to speed on pit road? Because this is back-to-back weeks now, my guy. They give you a tachometer for a reason.
So the first one was all me. I thought I'd be cheeky and just take a gallon of gas and be good for the stage. And then I thought it was like Charlotte, where there is the initial cone and then there's a timing cone that's later on. I didn't realize that the initial cone and the timing cone started all at the same time, so sped there. And then the second time was when I had damage, and it was pretty much add insult to injury.
We talked about last week, it was an endurance race. It was the longest race of the season. But with what I saw out there tonight, maybe just as much endurance for the drivers, maybe just as exhausting with what you had to deal with, especially if you had a car in dirty air, having to fight the loose to tight sensations, a lot of drivers overcorrect and everything. How much of a workout was it for you guys, despite the fact it was only 100 laps?
In traffic, it was, it was a workout where the car in traffic, you would vary between, man, I'm faster than all these guys, I should be able to pass them, to, wow, this thing just is anemic in traffic. We're not making any grounds. We're not passing people. We're in the wall constantly. But it's a totally different story when you get to the front of the field because, hey, you've got so much room to kind of wiggle around. You can go search for clean air. And that's almost what drove my strategy earlier on, where I just wanted to get out of the draft and start running on my own because I realized that, hey, I can run leader lap times if I'm just on my own having clean air.
Well, next week should be an interesting one. I've already regaled Scott of your Nashville Super Speedway story involving funnel cake.
Cakes,
So,
yeah.
so if he starts needling about that, I'm the one that let the cat out of the bag. But
He does it on the weekly.
oh well, yeah. I mean, what do we expect for Nashville Super Speedway? Because obviously a mile and a third, but maybe more importantly, a bigger racetrack with a concrete surface. So it's going to be a lot more slippy, slidey, I would assume, a lot more abrasive on the tires. If you're a driver that likes to just go from the drop of the green flag, how much are you going to have to rein it back in a race like that?
You're going to have a really bad time if you go from the get-go. I mean, realistically, concrete tracks are the bane of a lot of people's existence, where they are just known to chew up tires. And realistically, Nashville Super Speedway in itself is so unique, where it really running the bottom line is the preferred groove around the racetrack. It's almost like Indy in a way, but Indy with bankings and just a little bit less fanfare.
Last driver's track as well, in a sense, because after that we go to Road America. Obviously, we've already talked about the mentality of drivers. Some of them are there ready to win. Some of them are there just to survive and try and keep their cars on the racing surface. And then we go to Daytona, and yeah, let's talk about controlling your fate in that one. Nuh-uh, everybody else in the field is basically controlling your fate. So
I mean, you had 29 weeks before we get to Daytona to control your fate. You waited
that's
to the
fair.
very
That's
last
fair.
one.
Well,
I'm
also
sorry.
also in those 29 weeks, you also had Talladega and Daytona. So we'll say 27 weeks that you could
Say
control your
26.
fate.
I'll be polite.
All right.
Actually, we'll include the All-Star race. Because
Okay,
They did
yeah.
have a way to control your fate in that one.
Chicago Street Course. I don't know. Maybe.
23 weeks.
Yeah. we'll just keep bringing it down. There's Martinsville. There's Bristol. Anyway.
The main point is you had 3 months basically
Yeah.
to control your fate and put yourself in the best case scenario where, look, as a driver, if you get to Daytona and you're riding on hoping for a miracle, yeah, it's great when that miracle happens. But if it doesn't, I mean, you kind of just have to look at yourself and say, man, I'm the reason this happened. I'm responsible for this. I could have done better here, here, and here.
And we talked about this mid-portion of the season, too, where drivers may look back at races, the first 10 races of the season, and may look at, I finished 15th here when I could have potentially finished 10th if I hadn't done this thing, or, something like that, where maybe going a little outside your comfort zone in strategy ended up costing you positions that are going to come back to bite you when we get to the end of this regular season. It's going to be really interesting to see here with this handful of tracks we've got coming up here.
I think the big thing that a lot of these drivers need to keep in mind, and I think we've seen a perfect display of this tonight, which is measuring risk. how much risk are you willing to take, and how much are you willing to kind of sacrifice? Look, it's a long season. It is a 40-week season, all in all, considering we had a demo derby to start off, which unfortunately I think we missed. But we have a Homestead to end us off. We have 40 weeks. You have 40 weeks to control your fate of what's going to happen. Unfortunately, if you start making enemies around week 9, when you get to week 35, to week 40, when they may be out of it, they may be a little less lenient and give you a little less room.
Good point. Good point. Well, we'll have to see how that all unfolds. Trio of races left to go before we put together the 16, well, make it 17 drivers that will be battling for the championship, and we continue it next week with the music-themed race at the Nashville Super Speedway. We thank everybody for tuning to our coverage here tonight. Congratulations to Alan Dobbs as he goes back to victory lane here this evening at the Brickyard. We resume coverage next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on FRN. Again, tomorrow night we cap off our race week of broadcast with the first elimination race of Season 65 of the Talladega Challenge Series, the Talladega Super Speedway. We go from 13 drivers down to 8 drivers with our first elimination race of the playoffs. Hope you guys will join us for that one. But thanks to Scott Rankin for joining me here tonight, Matt Brad for stepping in here post-race for the interviews, and thanks to everybody that tuned into our coverage here this evening as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.